Uh, Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies. You are welcome to this meeting. My name is Robert Lisinge. I'm the Chief of the Energy Infrastructure and Services section of ECA, United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. Also the officer in charge of the Private Sector Development and Finance Division. I think it is 1 minute, or it's 12 noon Addis Ababa time. Participants are still joining us. I want to call on your indulgence to give us just 5 minutes so that all our high-level speakers would be here and we can start. Thank you. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Robert Lissinger, the Chief of the Energy Infrastructure and Services section of ECA. We are about to start. We're just checking if all our high-level speakers are with us, the speakers who will deliver the opening remarks. So I think we will start. You're welcome again to this meeting. As you all know, you saw in the invitation letter, we are here this morning to celebrate the 7th UN Road Safety Week. The UN General Assembly has asked the WHO, World Health Organization, and the Regional Commission to occasionally hold the UN Road Safety Week. This is the 7th UN Road Safety Week, and the theme is sustainable transport, basically to rethink mobility. We're encouraging the shift to walking, cycling, and use of public transport. This is not only good for road safety, but it's also good for our health and for the environment. We are looking at this theme at ECA from a broad management perspective. We do believe that strong road safety management is the foundation of saving life on our road. So while we're going to talk about multimodal transport as per the theme of this year's Road Safety Week, we are going to have all of this discussion in the context, the broader context of road safety management. We are excited and we look forward to fruitful discussion. This morning or this afternoon, wherever you may be, we're going to have some opening remarks from high-level speakers. We're going to have our Executive Secretary of ECA, Mr. Antonio Pedro. We're going to have remarks from Mr. Jean Todt, the UN Secretary General Special Envoy for Road Safety. We're going to have remarks from the AU Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy, Dr. Amani Abu Zaid. After that, we're going to have high-level speakers at the ministerial level. The Minister from Ethiopia, the Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics, the Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics of the Kingdom of Morocco, the Honorable Minister from the Gambia, the Honorable Minister from Cameroon, and of course, the Honorable Minister from the Kingdom of Eswatini. So without any more ado, I'm going to ask my Executive Secretary, Mr. Antonio Pedro, to kick off with the opening remarks.
Thank you, Robert. His Excellency, Mr. Alemu Semi, Minister for Transport and Logistics of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. His Excellency, Mr. Mohamed Abdeljalal, Minister of Transport and Logistics of the Kingdom of Morocco. His Excellency, Mr. Ngale Behe Jean-Ernest Masena, Minister of Transport of the Republic of Cameroon. His Excellency Chief Ngali Pasha Ndwandwe, Minister of Public Works and Transport of the Kingdom of Eswatini. Mr. Tulani Mkalapili, Principal Secretary, representing the Honorable Minister of Transport of the Gambia. His Excellency Mr. Ibrima Sida. Her Excellency Dr. Amani Abu Zaid, Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy, African Union Commission. Mr. Jean Todt, UN Secretary General, Special Envoy for Road Safety, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to welcome you to this meeting to commemorate the 7th United Nations Global Road Safety Week. Globally, road traffic crashes cause nearly 1.3 million preventable deaths and an estimated 50 million injuries each year, making it the leading killer of children and young people worldwide. UN Road Safety Weeks provide, therefore, a platform to raise awareness of the high number of road deaths worldwide and to reflect on the challenges plaguing road safety management. The theme of this year, as Robert indicated earlier, is sustainable transport, and specifically the need to rethink mobility. The Global Plan for the Decade of Action for Road Safety 2021-2030 that ECA contributed to articulate emphasizes the importance of multimodal transport to road safety. Around 70% of the global population is expected to live in urban settings by 2030. The resulting increased demand for urban mobility will exceed the capacity of systems that rely largely on private vehicles such as cars. To this end, investing in public transport systems to facilitate safe and efficient movement of large and broad populations is therefore an imperative. The UN advocates for multimodal transport and land use planning with an optimal mix of motorized and non-motorized transport modes to ensure safety and equitable access to mobility while responding to diverse needs and preferences of our population. Of course, multimodal transport and land use planning should be adapted to local contexts and climates. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, implementation of national and continental action plans, as well as enforcement of laws and regulations on the African continent have generally been weak. For example, a review of the status of implementation of the African Road Safety Action Plan 2011-2020 by ECA and the African Union Commission showed that only 22% of measures related to road safety management and 25% of those that deal with road infrastructure were implemented. Many challenges plague the safety of roads in Africa. These include a lack of sustainable funding, which represents a major constraint to the effective function of most road safety organizations and initiatives in Africa. Although multiple funding sources are used for road safety in Africa, there is over-reliance on donor support. African countries have adopted targets for road safety finance, but rarely meet these targets, including allocating 5% of road maintenance resources and 10% of road investments to road safety. It is encouraged, though, that road funds generated from sources such as tolling, road levies, insurance, petroleum taxes, and vehicle inspection charges are being allocated increasingly to road safety, including in Ghana, Ethiopia, and Cameroon. We should emulate these examples. It is clear that governments alone cannot solve all road safety problems in Africa. To this end, the private sector can step in by contributing financially and providing technical expertise, including through investing in vehicle inspection centers and upgrading of roads to improve their safety ratings. I'll also encourage African countries to harness existing road safety facilities, such as the UN Road Safety Fund. ECA is already using resources from this fund to implement projects in Tanzania, Uganda, and Rwanda. However, it may be time to set up an African Road Safety Fund, focusing on addressing the fundamentals of road safety on the continent, particularly management issues. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, another challenge I would like to highlight is that of the importation of used vehicles. ECA's research has shown that implementing the African Continental Free Trade Area would require over 2 million additional trucks to meet the increased demand for road freight. It is expected that most of these trucks will be second-handed vehicles. If nothing is done, these would have serious road safety and environmental implications in the absence of strong regulation on used vehicles. Addressing the negative impact of used vehicles in Africa requires the harmonization of standards across the continent and the enforcement of these standards. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to argue that we have the tools to address road safety challenges in Africa, particularly the African Road Safety Action Plan for the period 2021-2030. This continental plan is aligned with the Global Plan of Action for the UN Road Safety Day 2021-2030 and takes into consideration the specificities of African countries. I urge member states to use the continental plan to develop or revise their national plans. Let me end by assuring you that ECA is ready to support its member states to develop and implement their national road safety action plans. We'll also continue to track the performance of member states in implementing recommended road safety measures and to recognize those that contribute significantly to reduce road death on the continent through the Kofi Annan Road Safety Award. We look forward to meeting you soon at the ceremony where we'll be recognizing these efforts. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, ES. We will now turn the floor to the UN Secretary General's Special Envoy for Road Safety, Mr. Jean Todt. Mr. Jean Todt has sent us a message which we will play now.
Excellencies and friends of road safety, of all the meetings convened to celebrate the UN Global Road Safety Week, this one is very important. As Africa is the worst affected region in the world, it is here that we have our biggest challenge to rethink mobility and to apply our solutions. I can confirm this after just coming back from Senegal and Ivory Coast last week. Road safety management, the theme of this meeting, serves as the bedrock of sustainability as well as for saving lives. Unfortunately, human nature tends to brush aside road crash deaths as something that we must simply fatalistically accept, and that in any case won't happen to us. And yet, in indirect ways, road crashes to affect all of us every day, and especially in Africa. The economic toll of road crashes saps countries in Africa of up to 5% of their annual GDP, and that affects everyone. That is why road safety management is a vital component for helping economic growth, social development, and environmental preservation. It will help to lift the low and middle income countries to the higher levels they seek. It is unacceptable that even after our first decade of action for road safety, and now 2 years into the second decade, many countries still lack the fundamental elements of road safety management. Fortunately, the African Union Commission is collaborating closely with ECA to develop Africa's strategic directions for the second decade. It is imperative that nations embrace and implement points of the global plan and thereby create a solid foundation for road safety across the continent. However, I must emphasize, as I did in my recent trip to West Africa, that road safety is not a task for government alone. It requires collaboration among all stakeholders. This includes international organizations, private sector entities, civil society, and individuals like you and me. Only through collective action can we effectively address the challenges and obstacles that hinder progress in road safety. This week of global awareness for road safety is a time to call on the international community to help Africa through funding, technical assistance, and knowledge sharing. We must support African countries to develop these road safety management systems and to employ proven practices. In closing, I would like to take this opportunity to announce that the second annual Kofi Annan Road Safety Award will this year be presented in September this year in Marrakesh, Morocco. The award is designed to celebrate and inspire more action on the continent, and it is open to governments, private sector, NGOs, and research institutions, among others. I encourage you to apply and to spread the word. I wish you a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We just heard from the UN Secretary General Special Envoy for Jean Todt. I think we thank Mr. Todt for the effort he's making to raise the challenge, awareness of the challenge of road safety on our continent. I now have the honor to call on the representative of African Union Commission on behalf of Dr. Amani Abu Zaid to deliver some opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Program Director. My name is Eric Nagengerwa. I'm the Acting Head of Transport and Mobility Division at the African Union Commission. I will read the speech by Her Excellency Dr. Amani Abu Zaid, Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy at AUC. Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics of Ethiopia, Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics of Kingdom of Morocco, Honorable Minister of Transport and Works of Gambia, Honorable Minister of Transport of Cameroon, Honorable Minister of Public Works and Transport of Kingdom of Eswatini, the UN Special Envoy for Road Safety, the Acting Executive Secretary of UNECA, distinguished guests, the human, economic, and social cost of road crashes in Africa are increasingly becoming increasing year after year. Each crash is painful loss, both human and financial. The continent is disproportionately suffering from these global epidemics. To put in perspective, our African Union member states account for only 3% of registered vehicles globally, but 23% of global road traffic deaths, with nearly 297,000 Africans dying on our roads each year. 44% of these casualties are pedestrians and cyclists. And from these, the most affected are our youth aged 15 to 35, which can prevent the continent from realizing its true development potential. This year's edition of the 7th UN Global Road Safety Week focuses on sustainable transport, in particular the need to shift for walking, cycling, and using public transport. I believe road safety is both a prerequisite for and outcome of this shift, and bringing such attention to it requires demonstrating the importance of the problem relative to other major threats that currently confront our region. Most cities across the continent of Africa, our continent, have a large percentage of walking and cycling as a mode share for trips. These cities are fundamentally walking and cycling cities, but they often lack sufficient infrastructure to support their use. Where walking and cycling facilities do exist, they are often crowded by parked cars and vendors and are poorly maintained. This, in combination with a public transport service that is largely informal, poorly regulated, and provides a low quality of service, leaves most commuters with few travel options, especially if they cannot afford to use other means. Despite these conditions, many of our cities still focus on building for cars, often at the expense of other forms of transport. Large proportions of transport budgets are allocated to building urban highways, with investment in transit and a distance second and pedestrian infrastructure often being completely left behind. Distinguished participants, bringing the urban transport agenda together with the urban development agenda to the forefront of public discourse in Africa is critical to enhancing road safety. However, the scarce availability of data in Africa remains a major impediment to identifying and precisely analyzing urban mobility challenges. Our future mobility needs to be modular, flexible, and scalable to improve multimodal planning and operation of our city centers and the performance of public transport, in particular the reform of paratransit services to fully integrate into the public transport system. In Africa, road transport is still the leading mode of transport for individual mobility and carrying goods, but this comes at the expense of quality of life. So how can Africa create good alternatives that our people will really use to maintain or increase the modal shares of public transport and non-motorized transport modes? This is critical because in the long term, we have to move beyond meeting mobility demands with private vehicles through adequate land use and transport planning and management to improve the efficiency and safety of transport modes while minimizing the environmental footprint. If we want to preserve our cities and urban areas as sustainable, ecological, and healthy spaces to live and work, non-motorized transport modes such as walking, cycling, and public transport must be pillars of urban mobility to support sustainable accessibility and mobility, and by establishing an efficient and responsible governance system capable of anticipating needs, guiding action, and ensuring integrated management and development of urban transport systems. More importantly, mobility is so cross-cutting and systematic, and that we must think beyond swapping vehicle types or modes. Instead, we must also consider broader questions about how people use transportation, who can access which modes, and why, and what is available to people using various modes. As Africans, we must consider the influence of intersectional factors such as the environment, socioeconomic, gender, and culture. In this regard, technical innovation and non-motorized transport should be mainstreamed into policies and national action plans. Distinguished participants, let me end my remarks by ensuring that the AUC will continue to work in collaboration with partners such as the SSATP, the ECA, to support member countries in overcoming road safety challenges from interurban and inner city all the way to last mile mobility, building capacities to implement evidence-based solutions to make our roads safer, and enhancing data quality through the African Road Safety Observatory work plan for better monitoring and planning of our second the African Road Safety Action Plan for the decade 2021-2030. I thank you for your kind attention. On behalf of Dr. Mania Buzaid, Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy at AUC.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eric Tangengewa, Acting Head of Transport of the African Union Commission. We have now come to an end of the very first segment of this meeting, which were the opening remarks. Straight away, we are going to move into the high-level ministerial segment or panel that will discuss promoting sustainable transport in the context of the second UN Decade of Action for Road Safety. I now have the honor to call the first speaker, His Excellency Mr. Alemu Semi, Minister of Transport and Logistics of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Mr. Jean Todt, UN Secretary General's Special Envoy for Road Safety. Honorable Minister from Kingdom of Morocco, the Gambia, Cameroon, Kingdom of Swatini. His Excellency Amani Abu Zaid, Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy of the African Union Commission. Your Excellency, Mr. Antonio Pedro, Acting Executive Secretary of Economic Commission for Africa. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to join you in this important session on the occasion of celebration of the 7th UN Road Safety Week 2023 under the theme Rethinking Mobility. I would like to also thank the organizers of this global event and for convening all the important global actors in this sector. It is my belief that this discussion will bring tangible, autonomous outcomes to improve road safety conditions and that the platform could raise awareness to stimulate and advance response as appropriate. As we all know, creating a safe and sustainable environment is the current critical agenda for our world. Especially in the transport sector, the world has given a due attention on safety and sustainability in different global initiatives. As a result, countries are introducing the issue of safe and sustainable mobility in their national policies and development plans. We are witnessing the global economies are also committed on research and development to improve the safety of transport and curb the fatality in the transport sector. Besides, more countries are investing in green mobility technologies that introduce carbon-free transport vehicles. My country, Ethiopia, is among the pioneers in Africa in taking this initiative seriously and striving to make difference. I am also pleased to share that we have ratified the UN Road Safety Conventions and the Africa Road Safety Charter. Our national sector policy, both the transport policy and the logistics policy, considered the issue of safety and green mobility as strategic focus agendas. In our 10 years perspective plan, we gave due attention towards addressing the challenges of road safety and decreasing the fatality rate by 70%, which is a decrease from 34.4 to 10 deaths per 10,000 vehicles. Similarly, we are implementing our national road safety strategy, which is prepared in line with the United Nations second decade of action targets. We are also committed to bring change through strategic awareness creation programs. The initiatives are specially designed to change the attitude of drivers by letting them understand the importance of the safe driving. Moreover, these initiatives urge drivers value their own and their families' lives as well as the lives of others so that these precious lives should not be lost due to their reckless driving behavior. Different efforts are also being made from the law enforcement perspective by revising the traffic fine regulation, enforcing speed limiters technology for vehicles, by enforcing third-party liability insurance scheme, and also by modernizing and scaling up the standard of driving training institutes. Currently, we have established a lead agency, Road Safety and Insurance Fund Service, which is authorized to regulate, create awareness, and coordinate the issue of road safety and third-party liability insurance. As we are losing number of lives a day due to traffic accidents, the issue of safety in transport needs to be at the center of our attention. We believe that unless we build a well-informed society from the grassroots level, we cannot change the attitude towards safe transport. For this, my ministry has introduced the road safety curriculum in the national education system from primary to tertiary level, and it is already under implementation from the current academic year. In addition, we have also partnered with one of our renowned university, Addis Ababa University, to provide second degree level studies on road safety. Noting the importance of data-driven planning and decision-making, my ministry is finalizing the establishing an automated road crash data management system. This creates a great opportunity to join the African Road Safety Observatory. This is critical in developing the right legal instruments. Without data, we would be developing policies and regulations that are not effective and will face many challenges to implement. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in our transport policy, we indicated the expansion of mass transit to be an area of focus, especially in major regional cities. Our development plans are geared towards the promotion of mass transport options, in which we have planned to increase the share of public transport in regional cities. To realize this vision, my government, through its homegrown economic reform agenda, has made the public transport sector to be open for foreign investors by availing the necessary incentive instruments. We believe these policy reforms will bear fruits in the foreseeable future, as we are already receiving interest from foreign investors. Additionally, we are striving to decarbonize our transportation sector. We have made all necessary initiatives, incentive packages ready to encourage the mass adoption of electric mobility. We believe the transition to electric mobility is the best option for countries like Ethiopia, who have abundant renewable energy sources. To date, we have more than 42,000 electric vehicles in our roads, just the result of our incentive package in 7 months. Public electric charging facilities are also in the making in Ethiopia, which will create an enabling environment for mass adoption. We believe this number will sharply increase as a number of electric vehicles automotive assembly facilities are under construction. In parallel, we are discouraging the implementation of older vehicles by introducing a stringent excise tax regulation, in which we have recorded a meaningful result so far. I believe that decarbonization of the transport sector is the future of Africa. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are now living in a world which demands more active mobility that aims reducing dependency on vehicle transportation. Many cities and communities around the world are encouraging active mobility with a view to reducing emissions and ease traffic congestion. Active mobility is not all about transition from one mode of transport to another only. It is rather considered as part and parcel of the economic, ecological, and social transition agenda that intends to bring sustainable development. Investing in walking and cycling is like investing our best way to save planet Earth, which has been in peril conditions due to carbon emissions and related economic change effects. Investing in active mobility is all about bringing efficient land utilization in our cities and bringing lively and vibrant neighborhoods. It is also mean meaning the reduction of transport costs and improving of healthcare system. Active mobility is all about the inclusion of the disadvantaged groups of the society, where the elderly, women, and the children would enjoy multiple of its benefits. And most importantly, investing in active mobility would heavily reduce the road safety challenges which we have been affected. And above all, investing in active mobility is an ideal and most preferable way of expressing solidarity to mankind to live in a decent and safe world that we all deserve to cherish. To encourage the wide array of active mobility options, we have been witnessing regular walking and cycling days on the last Sunday of each month. This program have created better awareness and helped restore cycling culture in some regional cities in Ethiopia. In this regard, we have working on both the infrastructure and the awareness. Ladies and gentlemen, our world is changing fast, especially the environment we live in has suffered due to our irresponsible actions. Unless we wake up today and live in harmony with our environment, we may not be able to see the future. Therefore, we have to mainstream the agenda of safety and sustainability in our respective sectors. Green and safe mobility will take us the cleaner and safer world of the future that we dream to achieve. To realize this, our urban planning approach should be shifted from provision of spaces to vehicles to pedestrian and walking people. Roads should be designed and constructed for the majority of residents to work and play. We need to shift from private motorized transportation to public and active transportation and greening of cities. We also need to shift from polluting transportation options to electric mobility. Finally, I hope this panel will provide us an opportunity to share our experiences, learn from best practices, and network each other. And more importantly, to make a collective commitment to work together for a better future. Let us all join hands in investing on active mobility, decarbonizing the transportation sector, and ensuring road safety and save the lives of our loved ones. I wish you all a successful and fruitful event. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Mr. Alemu Semi, the Minister of Transport and Logistics of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. We will now move to the Kingdom of Morocco, and we're going to have a representative of His Excellency, Mr. Mohamed Abdeljalil, Minister of Transport and Logistics of the Kingdom of Morocco. I understand that Mr. Benasser Boulajal, the head of the Road Safety Council of the Kingdom of Morocco, will deliver the remarks on behalf of the Honorable Minister. Mr. Benasser, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robert, for this invitation. I will give my speech on behalf of Honorable Minister Mohamed Abdeljalil, Minister of Transport Logistics in the Kingdom of Morocco. I will give my speech in French. Tout d'abord, Monsieur le Ministre s'excuse de ne pas pouvoir assister à ce panel, vu qu'il est en déplacement pour une mission officielle prévue de longue date à l'étranger. Monsieur le secrétaire général de la Commission économique des Nations Unies pour l'Afrique, honorable ministre de l'Éthiopie, Cameroun, Gambia et le Royaume de Swatini, Madame la commissaire de l'Union africaine des infrastructures, Mesdames et Messieurs, bonjour. Tout d'abord, je tiens à vous remercier vivement pour cette initiative, pour célébrer avec vous la semaine de la sécurité routière des Nations Unies dans notre continent. Je saisis cette occasion pour me joindre aux différents appels de la communauté internationale de la sécurité routière, Safe Community, pour dire que la situation dans notre continent, le continent africain, était inacceptable. Un grand défi nous est imposé tous pour être en phase avec les objectifs du plan mondial de la sécurité routière 2021-2030 pour réduire de moitié le nombre de tués à l'horizon 2030. Vu le niveau record de la sinistralité routière dans notre continent par rapport aux autres régions du monde, l'atteinte de cet objectif de réduction de 50% est possible si le niveau d'engagement de tous les partenaires et tous les acteurs, qu'ils soient institutionnels, professionnels et société civile, est assuré. Une concentration sur la sécurité des usagers vulnérables, notamment les piétons et les usagers du 2-3 roues, pourrait accélérer l'atteinte des objectifs et sauver plus de vies humaines sur notre continent. La réduction de la vitesse, l'augmentation du port de la ceinture de sécurité, le port du casque, la lutte contre le GSM au volant, ainsi que la lutte contre la conduite sous influence sont les principaux leviers sur lesquels il faut agir pour offrir un espace de mobilité plus sécuritaire et un cadre de vie propice au développement socio-économique de notre continent. Afin d'atteindre ces objectifs, chaque pays doit développer et avoir sa propre stratégie de sécurité routière pour assurer un management institutionnel dans les règles de l'art qui prend en considération les contraintes et également les potentialités de chaque pays. L'investissement dans l'éducation des jeunes à travers l'intégration de l'éducation routière dans les programmes scolaires, la communication et la sensibilisation, l'implication des composantes de la société civile, le respect des normes dans tous les secteurs en lien avec la sécurité routière, notamment dans l'aménagement des infrastructures, le contrôle des véhicules, l'intégration des nouvelles technologies, le développement des systèmes d'information pour une meilleure collecte des données et le traitement des données liées à la sinistralité routière, le contrôle des véhicules, ainsi que recherche et développement sont des leviers à même de garantir de bons résultats en matière de sécurité routière dans notre continent. Tous ces éléments sont les fondamentaux de notre stratégie de sécurité routière au Royaume du Maroc et qui est actuellement en cours de mise en œuvre et qui a donné des résultats très encourageants, soit une baisse de plus de 10% depuis la mise en œuvre de notre stratégie. Mesdames et messieurs, je saisis cette occasion pour réitérer l'engagement du Royaume du Maroc pour partager son expérience et son savoir-faire avec tous les pays du continent, mais en même temps apprendre également des bonnes pratiques qu'on a pu développer sur notre continent. Dans ce cadre, le Maroc ne ménage aucun effort pour collaborer avec toutes les instances des Nations Unies et l'Union africaine pour disséminer une culture sécurité routière et promouvoir les bonnes pratiques dans notre continent. Notre organisation du premier Forum africain de la sécurité routière en 2018, auquel ont participé plus de 54 pays africains, notre signature de la Charte africaine de la sécurité routière, notre appui indéfectible à la création de l'Observatoire africain de la sécurité routière, voire notre proposition, notre offre de son accueil sur le sol marocain, ainsi que notre offre d'abriter la 2e édition du prix Kofi Annan pour la sécurité routière, le projet sur lequel on collabore activement avec la Commission économique des Nations Unies pour l'Afrique, le secrétariat de l'envoyé spécial du secrétaire général des Nations Unies pour la sécurité routière, ainsi que la Fondation Kofi Annan, sont autant de projets concrets sur lesquels on collabore activement avec les pays, les pays africains, les instances des Nations Unies et les pays pour améliorer la sécurité routière de notre continent. Je me rejoins aux organisateurs pour inviter tous les pays africains à participer les 25 et 26 septembre 2023 à Marrakech à cette 2e édition du prix Kofi Annan. Nous avons le devoir ensemble pour développer ce projet au fil des années à venir, pour qu'il soit un carrefour de partage de bonnes pratiques sur notre continent. Mesdames et messieurs, grâce à la conjugaison de nos efforts, l'engagement de chacun en ce qui le concerne, l'amélioration de la sécurité routière de notre continent est possible. Merci pour votre attention.
Thank you so much, Mr. Benacer, on behalf of the Minister of Transport of the Kingdom of Morocco. You mentioned the second edition of the Kofi Annan Award that will be held in Marrakesh in Morocco. I think certainly that is a rendezvous that we all have to be there. And I'm sure that all the African countries listening to you will accept that invitation.
They are very welcome. They are very welcome
to Marrakesh.
Yeah.
So let me now move to the next speaker, His Excellency Mr. Ibrahim Sila, Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure of the Gambia, or his representative. So if the Minister of Works and Transport of the Gambia is online, or his representative, could you take the floor?
Good morning, and thank you very much, Chair. I am representing the Minister of Transport and Infrastructure in the Gambia, Mr. Usman Sila, as you said. I am Louis Moses Mendy.
Mr. Moses, okay, please, we can see you now and we can hear you. Please, can you go ahead?
Thank you. Are you hearing?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Like I said, I am representing the Minister of Transport, and I'm reading his statement on his behalf on this important week. Good morning, Mr. Chairperson, Mr. Antonio Pedro, Mr. Shang, the UN Special Envoy, Dr. Amini, Honorable Alemini, Federal Republic of Ethiopia, Honorable ministers that are attending, key stakeholders and partners of the road safety, the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations, all other protocols duly and respectfully observed. It is my pleasure on behalf of the Honorable Minister to be part of this high-level gathering in honor of the celebration of the 7th UN Road Safety Week 2023, with a very important theme, Rethinking Mobility. Today, we joined government and partners and all other stakeholders around the world to celebrate this very important day. The celebration of this day is important in many respects, especially for our continent, Africa. There is no doubt that mobilizing continental efforts to strengthen road safety management capacity, it's a very timely and a commendable one for that matter. The Gambia appeared to have a series of road safety issues. According to the official statistics obtained from our respective data points from the country, from the year 2011 to 2021, on average, about 121 people die annually as a result of road traffic accidents. Similarly, during the same period, on average, we have 821 road traffic crashes occurring annually. And furthermore, on the same period, we have 2,738 people sustaining serious injuries. In fact, the situation seems to be worsening as we progress, especially looking at the data of 2021. During this period, 2021, a total of 1,218 road crashes occurred, where 155 people died and 440 people sustained serious injuries. In the light of the above and the growing road safety challenges, the government of the Gambia is putting in place all necessary institutional management structures and regulatory framework to enable the country better tackle road safety challenges. Already, the African Road Safety Chapter and the 3 other UN Road Traffic Conventions have been submitted to the National Assembly for ratification. As part of these efforts to strengthen the road safety management capacity for the Gambia, we are very soon going to set up a dedicated road safety lead agency to solely and wholly deal with road safety matters in the country. As I'm speaking to you, our team is part of that delegation in the Kingdom of Morocco on a study tour with the view of setting this road safety lead agency for the country. I want to therefore use this opportunity to thank the Kingdom of Morocco through their Ministry of Transport and Logistics for agreeing to host our delegates for this very important meeting. Moreover, in addition to our efforts to establishing a dedicated lead agency, we are cognizant of the fact that as key components in enhancing the institutional management capacity is the development of a road safety policy and strategy with measurable targets and action plans. In view of that, with the assistance from partners, African Transport Policy Program, and the Economic Commission for Africa, we were able to develop the Gambia's road safety policy, the road safety strategy, and the action plan for the country for the first time. These strategies will fully be aligned with the second UN decade of action for road safety, which is a clear manifestation of the seriousness of the government of the Republic of the Gambia on matters of road safety. I must take this opportunity to thank both the partners I've mentioned above, that is the SSATP and the ECA, for their support in ensuring that we link up to the rest of the continent. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are currently in the process of officially launching our action plan, which will pave way for the implementation of all the others. The outcome, performance, and delivery targets set out in this strategy are fully aligned with voluntary road safety targets set by the United Nations. We are very optimistic that the Gambia Road Safety Strategy and Action Plan will provide the needed strategy direction to address our road safety challenges. We are also very optimistic that the implementation of the road safety strategy and the action plan will go a long way in helping us meet our road safety objectives and eventually set the stage in reaching our vision, which is Vision Zero Accidents. Since the new slogan to improve both road safety and mobility is to allow the tools to speak to each other, that is mobility, especially for vulnerable road users who are key people in the whole chain. Both documents made very important policy recommendations and actions, all geared towards improving mobility by giving special consideration to vulnerable road users. As a country, We are now advocating for the provisions of facilities for vulnerable road users, especially for those walking and cycling. To that end, I am happy to indicate that all our new projects, especially those in the urban areas, incorporate the needs of the vulnerable road users in their designs. The government is also making efforts to improve the urban public transport system by partnering with private sector in procuring more transport facilities and vehicles, such as buses, while improving the road infrastructure. We are also in the process of signing a memorandum of understanding with Mobilize Your City, an international road assessment program, with the sole aim of improving mobility and safety in the Gambia. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I want to indicate that despite challenges in road safety and improving mobility in the Gambia, we are very much optimistic about the potentials as a country in addressing these challenges in a very holistic manner. To that end, I want to thank you all and assure you that we are committed to working with all partners, both locally and internationally, with the view of addressing road safety challenges and issues. I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mendy. It has been a pleasure for the Economic Commission for Africa to work with the Gambia to develop your National Road Safety Action Plan. And we look forward to accompanying you as you implement activities in that plan. We will now move to the representative of Cameroon, Ms. Njoya Zacharias, Ministre Délégué auprès du ministre des Transports. Ms. Njoya, vous avez la parole.
Merci. Monsieur le secrétaire exécutif par intérim de la Commission économique pour l'Afrique, Excellences, Messieurs les ministres des Transports de la République fédérale démocratique d'Éthiopie, Excellences, Monsieur le ministre des Transports et de la Logistique du Royaume du Maroc, Excellences, Monsieur le ministre des Transports de la Gambie, Excellences, Monsieur le ministre des Travaux publics et des Transports du Royaume des Eswatini, Monsieur l'envoyé spécial du secrétaire général des Nations Unies pour la sécurité routière, Monsieur le commissaire aux infrastructures et à l'énergie de la Commission de l'Union africaine, chers participants. De prime abord, je voudrais présenter les excuses du ministre des Transports, M. Ngalé Bibé Jean-Ernest Massena, empêché et présentement en mission officielle hors du Cameroun. Merci, Monsieur le directeur de la division du développement du secteur privé et des finances de la Commission économique pour l'Afrique, pour l'occasion qui m'est donnée de réagir sur la thématique relative à la promotion du transport durable. Pour l'occasion qui m'est donnée de réagir sur la thématique relative à la promotion du transport durable dans le cadre de la deuxième décennie d'action des Nations Unies pour la sécurité routière au cours de cette célébration de la 7e semaine de la sécurité routière des Nations Unies. Chers homologues, membres du gouvernement des pays frères, chers participants, si vous me le permettez, je voudrais tout d'abord saluer cette initiative louable de l'Assemblée générale des Nations Unies, manifestée à travers la tenue périodique des semaines mondiales de la sécurité routière. C'est également le lieu pour moi de féliciter la Commission économique pour l'Afrique pour les énergies déployées dans le cadre de l'organisation de cet événement de haut niveau. Sans oublier le point d'honneur accordé à mon cher pays, le Cameroun, ainsi qu'aux autres pays qui participent à cette célébration grâce aux invitations que vous avez bien voulu nous servir. Je tiens à vous remercier pour cette sollicitude permanente. Comme vous le savez, les questions relatives à la sécurité routière et le transport durable font partie intégrante des objectifs du gouvernement camerounais en matière de développement. Nous nous faisons d'ailleurs accompagner par les Nations Unies, les organisations de la société civile, les acteurs privés et les partenaires au développement dans la conception et l'implémentation des activités favorables à la mise en œuvre des objectifs de développement durable au Cameroun. Je profite de cette occasion pour remercier une fois de plus la Commission économique pour l'Afrique d'avoir choisi le Cameroun comme l'un des premiers pays africains à bénéficier du programme Road Safety Performance Review, dont le diagnostic a permis de formuler 68 recommandations pour renforcer le dispositif actuel en matière de sécurité routière. À date, 66 de ces recommandations ont complètement été implémentées et nous ont permis d'obtenir des résultats efficaces en matière de réduction de la courbe des accidents dans notre pays. Conscient de la place importante qu'occupe le Cameroun dans le réseau routier transafricain et du volume des échanges, tant à l'intérieur du pays qu'à l'extérieur entretenus avec l'ensemble des pays de la sous-région, les questions liées au transport durable sont apparues évidentes et se sont avérées être une nécessité à promouvoir pour préserver le bien-être des populations et de la planète. À cet effet, dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre des recommandations du plan mondial de la décennie d'action pour la sécurité routière 2021-2030, diverses actions ont été menées tenant compte du report modal, notamment en matière de transports durables, d'utilisation des transports publics et bien d'autres. Parmi les dites actions, nous pouvons en citer quelques-unes, à savoir l'élaboration de la stratégie nationale du développement 2020-2030 qui intègre les objectifs en matière de transport. L'élaboration d'une stratégie de prévention et de sécurité routière qui rend en compte les objectifs de la nouvelle décennie et les orientations en matière de transport durable. L'élaboration d'un plan de mobilité humaine intégrant les usagers vulnérables dans la conception et la réalisation des plans d'aménagement urbain. La mise en place d'un système d'homologation dédié aux nouveaux types de véhicules pour se rassurer de leur conformité aux normes requises en matière de circulation routière et de protection de l'environnement. La réforme de sécurisation du processus du contrôle technique et de la délivrance de la vignette de visite technique automobile qui intègre les aspects techniques de régulation et de surveillance des émissions de gaz polluants. La mise en œuvre du plan national du développement des systèmes de transport urbain de masse suivant les prescriptions du plan de mobilité humaine. L'élaboration d'un programme de rajeunissement du parc automobile national à travers l'institution du mécanisme de la prime à la casse et la limitation de l'âge des véhicules à l'importation. La prise en compte du volet sécurité routière dans l'aménagement des voiries urbaines pour la protection des usagers vulnérables. L'intégration progressive des spécifications techniques tenant compte de l'accessibilité des personnes à mobilité réduite aux infrastructures routières. Le renforcement des capacités des acteurs qui interviennent dans la planification des transports et le développement durable au Cameroun avec la création d'un master doté des unités d'enseignement axées sur la mobilité verte, le transport durable et la sécurité routière. Toutes ces actions menées ont pour objectif de garantir une meilleure sécurité des usagers, la promotion des déplacements autres que l'automobile, le meilleur partage de l'espace et une meilleure santé environnementale. Nous constatons tous, à travers ces différentes actions, que l'engagement du Cameroun en faveur du transport durable n'est plus à démontrer. On aura certainement l'occasion de s'y pencher davantage au cours de la réunion technique qui va suivre et pour laquelle j'ai instruit mes services techniques compétents de prendre part activement pour le partage d'expériences en matière de sécurité routière et de transport durable. Je vous remercie.
Thank you so much, Mr. Njoya, for those remarks. On behalf of the Honorable Minister, I would like to assure you that the Economic Commission for Africa will continue to stand by Cameroon as you struggle to save life on the country's road. You can be assured of that. We will move to the next speaker, His Excellency Chief Zlaluzaza Ndwanzwe, the Minister of Public Works and Transport of the Kingdom of Eswatini. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
The UN Secretary General's Special Envoy for Road Safety, the African Union Commission's Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy, Honorable Ministers of Transport from our member countries, all road safety stakeholders here present, and all protocol observed. The Kingdom of Eswatini appreciates the United Nations biannual Global Road Safety Week of 2023, which focuses on improving road safety in the world. As a signatory to key global conventions, including the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the African Road Safety Charter, to name a few, Eswatini is pleased to join the rest of the continent in celebrating the UN Global Road Safety Week, set to start today and end on the 21st of May, 2023. We also embrace the theme, Sustainable Transport, that primarily focuses on promoting the use of non-motorized transport, such as walking, cycling, and mass transport modes, such as public transport. During the period when the country was dealing with the COVID-19 virus, Emaswat learned the benefits of walking, and we are seeing an increase in the number of people who walk on the road, either to work or as a means of exercise. His Majesty's government has escalated the provision of walking pathways and pavements for pedestrians to walk safely, especially within the urban area, where there are high numbers of pedestrians on roadsides. The municipality of Mbabane has provided ramps on the road for physically disabled to ease their movement around the urban area. They have also provided grids for the visually disabled to assist them in walking safely on the streets. There is also intervention of traffic lights where sounds are emitted to alert the visually disabled to know when it is safe to cross the streets. Matsapa Town Council, working with the Road Safety Council of Eswatini and Eswatini Beverages, have constructed pedestrian bollards at the edge of First Street in Matsapa to curb pedestrian accidents and promote safe walking as means of green transport. In the country and region, Cycling is largely viewed as a sport. However, the ministry has noted the need to promote cycling as a means of transport, aimed at increasing the number of people who cycle to work and for leisure. In the medium term, the increase in the number of people who cycle regularly is expected to impact the built environment designs, wherein residential, office, and retail buildings developments would incorporate lanes and parking bays for bicycles. The roads are for all users. For this reason, concerted efforts have to be undertaken to instill the culture of shared road use by all. Motorized vehicle users are expected to look out for and be cautious to non-motorized vehicles like bicycles, animal draw carts, as well as pedestrians. In this regard, road safety campaigns are to emphasize the road safety principles that underpin shared road use by all, including that they should not encroach on the space reserved for non-motorized vehicle users, and also give them the right of way at crossings and junctions. This will result in reduced road crashes and further promote green living. Eswatini has ordinarily had a large population of commuters using public transport as a means of transport. This scenario has changed in the recent times, with shift towards more people using their own vehicles as opposed to the use of buses and minibuses. This can be attributed to increased buying power, resulting in the increase in the purchase of affordable second-hand vehicles within the country and the resultant boom of vehicles on the road. The ministry is working on promoting and encouraging the use of mass transport modes for public transportation other than the use of private vehicles. In conclusion, let me urge all of us here today to ensure that road infrastructure is created to improve mobility of people and goods. It is time that over and above that important goal, roads are built for safety. It must no longer be an option to incorporate safety features on our road infrastructure that make walking, cycling, and the use of public transport safe. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. We have now come to the end of this high-level segment of our meeting. I would like to thank the Acting Executive Secretary of ECA, Mr. Jean Todt, the UN Special Envoy for Road Safety, the representative of the AU Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy, the Minister of Transport of Ethiopia, and all the honorable ministers who have graced this occasion. We are heartened that you take road safety very seriously. The fact that you are all here is testimony of your efforts to reduce the number of casualties, deaths, and injuries on our roads. We thank you for that. We will now move to the next segment of our meeting, which is the technical aspect of it, but we will give ourselves 5 minutes break to stretch our legs, and perhaps if some of the ministers who may want to leave, they could do so, but they are also welcome to stay if they want to listen to the technical discussion. So we could break for 5 minutes while we prepare the technical presentations. Once again, I want to thank all our high-level speakers for guiding the rest of this discussion. Thank you so much. And please don't leave, don't log out of this link. So just leave your connections on, and we'll come back in 5 minutes. Dear colleagues, welcome back to our technical segment of this very important meeting. I think that we have been given guidance by the high-level speakers on how to proceed. We're going to have some remarks before we move into the presentations for this technical segment of our meeting. Remember, we are here to celebrate the 7th UN Road Safety Week, and the theme, as you know, is sustainable transport, rethinking mobility, and promoting the shift to walking, cycling, and public transport. I'm going to give the floor. We are already about 25 minutes or so late, and so the remarks will be very brief. And I'm going to ask my colleague from the African Union, Eric, to deliver some remarks on behalf of my brother and friend Camo, who is the Director of Energy and Infrastructure of the African Union Commission. So Eric, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Robert. Mr. Antonio Pedro, Acting Executive Secretary of UNECA, Honorable Ministers in charge of transport, Mr. Jean Todt, UN Secretary General Special Envoy for Road Safety, Mr. Mike Salau, Acting Director at African Development Bank, Mr. Robert Lisinge, Acting Director, Private Sector Development and Finance, representatives from partner institutions in World Bank, SSATP, European Commission, International Automobile Federation, WHO, and UNEP, distinguished participants, all protocol observed. It is truly an honor and pleasure to be able to deliver my remarks on behalf of the African Union Commission. First, I would like to recognize and commend the work and efforts put into this kick-starting of the 7th UN Global Road Safety Week from today, May 15th, up to 21st, with a theme of sustainable transport, specifically the need for our governments to facilitate a shift to walking, cycling, and using public transport in the framework of the second decade plan of action for road safety. This is the clear and urgent choice that we face here at the dawn of what must be a decisive new decade of hope for us, and that will quite literally determine our futures. At the African Union Commission, we believe that safe, affordable, accessible, and sustainable public transport, including walking and cycling facilities, solves many of our society's transport problems, which in turn contributes to residents' health and makes our cities sustainable and our societies equitable. I will not need to emphasize how serious the issue of road safety in Africa, the crash, how serious is the road safety issue in Africa. The crash numbers we hear or read each day on the continent speak for themselves. While many efforts to address road safety in African context emphasize awareness and enforcement, it is equally important to give attention to the critical role of physical road design in encouraging safe user and driver behavior. Despite the growing recognition of the important role of non-motorized transport in the urban transport system, infrastructure projects neglect to construct adequate, accessible facilities for pedestrians and cyclists. Often the practice on the continent is that road designs seek to maximize speeds for private cars, often at the expense of safety, accessibility, and convenience for the majority of road users who rely on walking, cycling, and public transport for their daily transport needs. Urgent actions must be taken to improve the safety of all road users, especially the most vulnerable in our major and secondary cities. To redress this and rethink mobility with the most of risk in mind, our efforts should aim to incorporate safety and urban mobility needs into transport planning and design process by enabling policies and strategies that lay out street design principles and financing priorities to help foster a supportive policy environment, reforming our design standard to adopt city-specific guidelines for the design of safe urban streets, and streamlining the entire design process to ensure the development of contextually appropriate and consistent quality infrastructure through audit and inspection. Improving the quality of public transport, including paratransit services, and carving out a dedicated right-of-way for high-capacity systems such as rapid transit, bus rapid transit along high-demand corridors, with features such as enclosed stations, pre-board payment with smart cards, rapid boarding, and dedicated infrastructure for non-motorized transport, and finally enhancing the knowledge and the capacity of our officers responsible for implementing road infrastructure to ensure that they have the ability to respond to emerging challenges and opportunities they may encounter and implement safer streets as a paramount. With regard to the work of the African Union Commission in the road safety sector, I would like to draw your attention to the need to accelerate the signing and ratification of the African Charter of Road Safety, which is provisionally in force due to shortage of instruments of ratification. As of today, 11 African member states only ratified and deposited the instrument, which is required for the full operationalization of one of the flagship programs in this area, which is the African Road Safety Observatory, that will create a continental platform of government representatives and the key actors in the road safety to share and exchange road safety data and experience in order to reduce traffic crashes across African Union states through an accessibility-based urban mobility work plan to reduce fatalities and injuries. In closing, I thank you again for this opportunity and look forward to a very productive workshop. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Eric, for those remarks. African Union remains a very close partner of the Economic Commission for Africa on efforts to improve road safety on our continent. I think I've read in the slide, in the chat, sorry, that the slides are not moving. Actually, the slides are for the program. There were no slides for the remarks that the representative of AUC, Eric, just delivered. I now have to make a few remarks. I will be very brief in the interest of time, but just let me speak briefly about the theme of this year's 7th UN Road Safety Week. It is about shifting to walking, cycling, and public transport in the context of sustainable transport. You will all recall that one of the new features of the second decade of action for road safety is multimodal transport. And this is where we at the UN, we are promoting the shift to walking, cycling, and to public transport. As my executive secretary mentioned earlier during his remarks, I think this should be contextualized to what is happening in different countries. And so for us at ECA as a think tank, we are concerned about the challenges to having these kinds of transition. We do know that many factors impact on mode choice decision of individuals. It depends on their status in the community, or how much are they earning, and so these are economic factor. How is land used, planned in their countries and city? How far is it from where they live and where they are working? So there are several economic and social factors that determine the choice that people make on how to move from one place to another. Of course, government policies could also help. If we want to encourage people to move from use of cars, for instance, to public transport, then we need to have good public transport system. Transit, a number of African countries are already doing that. If we want people to walk safely, then we do need facilities, walkways, zebra crossing, things that would make walking safe. So we do want to commend our sister organizations like UN Habitat, that they're doing a lot of work in these areas to make road infrastructure safe for vulnerable users. And we're going to listen to colleagues from UN Habitat in the course of this segment of our meeting. Finally, let me say something about road safety management. We look at multimodal transport at ECA and AUC as part and parcel of broader road safety management. The UN Special Envoy for Road Safety mentioned it in his message this morning, that management is the foundation of road safety. We cannot achieve the objective of halving road deaths in the world and our continent in particular if we don't have solid road safety management. But unfortunately, 2 years into the second decade of action in Africa, we find out that road safety management is still a challenge in many of our countries. We don't have strong lead agencies that are funded through national budget. We still have challenges in legislations that are not comprehensive. We do have fines in many countries for traffic offenses that are so small that they don't act as deterrent to those who are offenders. We do believe that if we're to achieve or come even close to achieving the objective of halving road deaths in our continent by 2030, then we need to do a lot more in road safety management. We need to have national road safety strategies and action plan. That is why increasingly ECA is working with those member states that are willing to help them to develop or strengthen the national road safety action plan. We also do believe that countries should go and have a look at their legislation, not just road safety act, but legislation across the pillars from infrastructure. Do you have mandatory road safety audits and inspection to vehicles? Do you have road safety? You have standards for vehicles that come into your country, and so on and so forth. So we think that 2 years into the decade, the second decade, we need to spend a lot of time to take stock of where we are. We need to have our fundamentals right. Otherwise, and it is encouraged, we're implementing some road safety actions in many countries. But if we don't have strong management in place, we don't believe at ECA that we are able to implement interventions that will significantly reduce road deaths on our continent. So with that, I will move straight away to see if the representative of the African Development Bank is with us, the director, Mike Salawu, or anyone representing him. Do we have any representative from the African Development Bank? The floor would be theirs. Okay, I don't think we have been joined by any representative of the African Development Bank. So what I will just try to do would be to go through the agenda of this technical session, and then I will hand the floor to the moderator, who is a representative from South Africa. So Placid, if we could just go to the slides with the program, I could just spend a minute or two to go through the program. Placid, can you hear me? I'm not sure if Placid can hear me, but in any case, we had shared the concept note.
I am sharing.
Mm-hmm. While you are trying to share, in the interest of time, I just wanted to say that we're going to have two sessions in this technical aspect of our meeting. The first session is on road safety management in Africa, challenges and emerging issues. The session will be moderated by South Africa. I think that the program is coming, but there will be a number of presentations for this session. One would be a presentation by ECA, where we will provide an overview of road safety management in Africa. Then we'll have a presentation from UN Habitat, which will speak to the theme of this year's UN Road Safety Week. Then we'll move to the Kingdom of Morocco to share experiences in road safety management. And finally, in that session, we would listen to Senegal, and the representative will speak about the lead road safety agency in that country. After that, we're going to have 20 minutes of discussion. Then we'll move to another session, which we call fundamentals, from fundamentals to action. And here we'll try to look at innovations in road safety management. We're going to have a presentation in this regard from Nigeria, the Nigeria Road Safety Corps. We're going to have a presentation from Rwanda as well, how they're using digitalization to enforce road safety rules and regulations in that country. And we're also going to listen to CITA, good practices for setting up viable vehicle inspection system. That session also would be followed by 20 minutes discussion and would be chaired by the Kingdom of Eswatini. And then we'll have a closure. So ladies and gentlemen, we had shared this program with you, and without any more ado, I will hand the floor now to South Africa, a colleague from South Africa to chair. We are running out of time. I remind the chair that each speaker has 10 minutes for their presentation, and there will be 20 minutes discussion. So I hand over the floor to you, sir.
Thank you, Robert, and good morning, well, good afternoon from South Africa. Yes, I see that session one will be dealing with the challenges and emerging issues in road safety management in Africa. And without further delay, I'm going to hand over to Proceed to start with the overview of road safety management in Africa. Thank you, Proceed.
You need to go to display settings. Yes, click on the arrow and a menu will open. You can choose the option you want to share the slides at the top. It's the next one, display settings.
Okay, please go ahead. Placid, you are advised to go to the next one, display setting. Your cursor now is about show taskbar. Can you go to the next one? The next one.
The next is on mute.
Here.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
So my name is Placid Baji from ECA. I'm going to give you an overview of road safety management in Africa in just few minutes. Then Mr. Lisinge was just mentioning that we have road safety. We do have road safety management as one of the pillars of African road safety action plan, and why road safety management is so important for us. Let's see these in the next slides. So this is what you can see on your screen is the pyramid of road safety management. The foundation of an effective country road safety management system is institutional management, as indicated in the bottom of this pyramid. You can see on your screen, and supporting these the key functions of which is institutional management, which are institutional management functions are very key for road safety management. And those elements are coordination, legislation, funding and resource allocation, promotion, how to monitor and evaluate our programs, and also our strategies, policies, but research and development and knowledge transfers are one of those main elements. So from all the researches, we could see that we could see a positive correlation between the higher level of road safety management system and a better safety performance of the countries. The first group of countries with a high availability level of road safety management component, we can see in that group the presence of good practices features, which are a strong lead agency, a strong national medium-term road safety program, and so on and so forth. Why the second group is in that second group, we can see a weak point of road safety management systems where policy implementation and funding component are very weak. Lack of dedicated budget and insufficiency of human resources, poor distribution and coordination of responsibilities and between various management levels and so on and so forth. Now let me give you just another view on an assessment that has been conducted in 2015 and 2018 by the African Union Commission and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, and from there we could see even from the road safety action plan for the decade, the African one, that we have 5 pillars and a second section on cross-cutting issues. In that action plan, we have 15 expected accomplishments and 79 activities. Yes, here the message is that the performance of countries across the different expected accomplishments, namely establish lead agencies or strengthen them, improve management of data, and develop partnership and collaboration is very low. And as shown in the figures you have on the screen, the combined proportion of insignificant and progress actions is very huge in all the cases. In sum, as you can see in this table, the majority of the countries that has been taken into account, 23 countries, they have not taken significant actions in 11 countries out of those 23 activities in the pillar 1, which is road safety management. So from there, the African Union Commission together with all the partners, deducted the challenges of road safety management in Africa. And those challenges are sustainable funding, inadequate capacity of road safety agencies and organizations, and there we can say that when we talk about resources, we are talking about financial resources, human resources, material, and others. So the lead agency should be empowered and also in terms of legal framework, there is a lack of overreaching legal framework to guide the road safety agenda in countries. There is also a lack of political champions, political involvement, and we could see that those 2 last years, as per the insistence, the action of ECA and all the other organizations, we are trying to bring more political commitment in the road safety agenda. From there, we have 6 management expected accomplishment from the new African Road Safety Action Plan for the decade 2021-2030, and those expected accomplishments are sustainable funding, effective data management, but we need also countries to ratify and implement legal instruments, and some of them are the road safety, the African Road Safety Charter, but also the UN Road Safety Conventions and others. We have the National Road Safety Strategy developed. Why we need the strategy to guide all the actions in the country, and define target, define some objectives and results, and this is one important element of the action plan. We have also multimodal transport and land use planning, and I think that the 7 Road Safety Week is about this special theme, and we need also all the lead agencies to be fully empowered. And with this, I will end my presentation by also saying that the full strategic directions for this decade and also the African Road Safety Action Plan is available on the African Union Commission site. We can also provide a copy to you by request. Thank you.
Thank you, Proceed. We note in the comments that participants were unable to see the full slides due to the size and the mode in which the slideshow was done. So we'll make arrangements to share this presentation and others as well after the event. Thank you.
My son.
Bobby, can you mute? Thanks. Okay, so we move on. Our next speaker is Cecilia Anderson from UN Habitat. She's the lead on urban mobility. Sorry. Over to you, Cecilia.
Thank you. I hope it's urban mobility and not urban mortality. And thank you for that. And I was actually really inspired with Placid's last slide there, which says ideas for a prosperous Africa. And I think actually investing in rethinking mobility is really one of those key pillars for a prosperous Africa. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we are.
This is visible.
Super. And you can hear me as well?
Perfectly. Thanks.
Okay, super. So first of all, I just wanted to also say thank you very much to the Economic Commission for Africa for inviting us to actually join the 7th Road Safety Week in Rethinking Mobility. I was actually really inspired by a lot of the ministers and their commitments actually in the introductory session and the high level segment, where a lot of the commitments actually have been made on a high level political or on the political level, and we'd also like to see some of those results actually feeding down onto the city level. So I'll be making a short presentation now on some of those challenges and opportunities of shifting to walking and cycling and access to public transport. And as many of the previous speakers have also said, we're really living in a rapidly urbanizing world where we're seeing more and more of the world's population actually moving to urban areas. And I just wanted to show here specifically that much of the urbanization is unfolding in Africa and Asia, as you can see in this graph. And it's bringing huge social and economic and environmental transformations to many of those cities and urban areas. So urbanization has the potential to actually usher in a new era of well-being, resource efficiency, and economic growth. But if it is not managed well, and we actually have seen this in many of the cities that are becoming these sprawling cities that are resulting in quite a lot of undesirable outcomes, such as increasing greenhouse gas emissions. We're also seeing increasing inequalities. And there's also challenges from the local government level in actually providing adequate basic services to many of the people living in urban areas. Sorry, my slide is not moving to the next one. There we go. Excellent. So I just wanted to show with this slide that most cities in Africa are actually growing outwards rather than upwards. So it's actually leading to these sprawling cities where it's actually much more costly for a lot of the local governments to actually provide those basic services and to provide the services with regards to sustainable mobility as well. And this is impacting on people's quality of life. So just here you can see that Lagos and Kinshasa, the level of urban growth is really sort of outwards, while then Beijing and Seoul is really upwards, and Dhaka and Ho Chi Minh City is sort of in between there. And to the right, you'll see the map of Lagos, actually, where the dark bluish greenish area was actually the size of Lagos in 1965, when the city housed 1.6 million people. And it has actually grown to the light green size by 2015 and is now this mega city, actually, hosting about 20 million population. And I think this is what we're grappling with in a lot of the cities and towns in Africa, is that you have this exponential rapid urbanization taking place and sprawling cities being developed. With this slide, I just wanted to show as well that this urban growth has, of course, impacted in the number of cars and vehicles that are being acquired in African cities. And if you look at the map of Africa there, you'll actually see that many of the countries that motorization has actually changed over from between the period of 2005 to 2014, with an additional 25 to 100 vehicles per 1,000 people being acquired. And that means that we're sort of moving into the picture that you see on the right. And I think many of us actually also have felt this. I live in Nairobi, and often we actually have traffic jams. So we're actually looking at trying to, at a lot of the cities actually moving into this unsustainable mobility options with a lot of congestion in our cities. I just wanted to show with this that, you know, Africa can actually leapfrog and take a different pathway to what a lot of the cities have actually done. If you look at this graph, then you'll see at the top, all the sort of the red cities are are usually this cluster of cities which we call Developing Pathway 1. And as you can see, many of those cities are actually in North America. So we're looking at Houston, Denver, Washington, San Francisco. And then you have this trajectory of the green, the cluster 3 of cities in Developing Pathway 2, and then the cluster of cities, the blue ones, which are mainly the developing countries. And I think it's really important not to maybe fall into this or to avoid actually what many of the mistakes that have been made in many cities in the developed world, where and that African cities can actually have a different trajectory and leapfrog into sustainable mobility. It's just actually taking that decision to do that. So you have that opportunity to leapfrog and maybe invest much more in walking and cycling infrastructure and ensuring safe access to public transport instead. I think many of you probably know this as well about the avoid, shift, improve. So, you know, if cities can actually take the perspective of trying to avoid and reduce the need to use motorized travel, and if it's not possible to avoid, then at least to shift to more environmentally friendly modes of travel. For example, taking public transport, walking and cycling, and using new modes of mobility. And if we can't avoid and shift, then of course we want to improve. So we want to actually focus on much more energy efficient transport modes, like for example, electric mobility and use of renewable energy. So I think the logic is really that we want to move, we want to stay on the left and not so much move to the right. So with that, I just wanted to also say that Africa has the lowest level of accessibility to public transport in the world. And this is something that we've actually seen when we, as UN Habitat, we've been monitoring the achievement of SDG 11.2, which is specifically focusing on access to public transport. And we've been gathering data from about 138 cities in 23 countries in Africa. And we can actually see that only 32.7% of the population actually has access to public transport within a walking distance of about 500 meters and up to 1,000 meters. So between 500 meters and 1,000 meters, while the global average is about 65.9. And I think this is actually quite telling that you know, it's so important that we have access, a walkable access to public transport. And it's specifically critical for women, for children, for persons with disabilities and older persons who need to be able to have a safe walking environment to be able to access public transport. So what we have also found is that that cities where there is a high public transport ridership, there is less traffic fatalities. And I think that is key for the messages of today, actually. So cities that have invested in a good network of public transport, integrated with walking and cycling infrastructure, are actually safer cities. So if you look at the trajectory in the graph, you'll actually see that the cities, there are less traffic accidents per 100 population by the annual per capita transit passenger miles. So we've also actually noted that this is also an opportunity actually for cities in Africa to invest in transit-oriented development, where cities can promote higher densities and concentration of businesses and services around transport hubs, and investing in public good quality network of public transport, of course, NMT infrastructure and prioritizing walking and cycling through traffic calming measures. And this has also actually led to much fewer injuries and casualties through road traffic accidents. And I think this is something that is actually growing in African cities, in how cities are investing in these transit hubs. And of course, with regards to that, we also, and this was alluded to by Placide and others as well, is that cities need to invest in complete streets. And we need to cater for all modes of transport. So as shown in this picture, you have this zone, the walking zone, the dark green, then you have the cycling zone, which is the light green, then you have the public or the car zone, and then the public transport zone like the BRT. So it's actually very carefully allocating the space on the roads for these different modes of transport and ensuring that they're all connected and supporting each other. I think it's also actually very important to raise that, and I think it's been raised severally, that many of the cities, it's actually the pedestrians and the cyclists that are at risk. Of the roads in Africa assessed using the International Road Assessment Program, IRAP, which has this 5-star rating system, 95% of the roads actually fail to provide acceptable level of service for pedestrians, and 93% fail to provide acceptable level for cyclists. Most roads are what they call a 1-star, and which means that they don't have any cycle paths, there are no safe crossings, there's no safe pedestrian walkways, and of course high vehicle speeds. And here I'm just showing a picture or a graph of actually road fatalities in Nairobi, where I live, where you'll see that the main fatalities are actually pedestrians, and with 35%. And I think it's really important that we actually try and reduce that significantly as we move forward. So as many of you already know, that many cities are reducing vehicle speeds in their built up areas to reduce these fatalities. And I think a lot of you are aware that the faster the cars drive, the more fatal the accidents. So many cities are actually embracing this 30 kilometers per hour reduction in vehicle speeds to be able to ensure that pedestrians and cyclists are much safer. I just wanted to maybe highlight a few of the key publications and guides that we've actually produced at UN Habitat with some of our partners. One is a guide for designing streets for walking and cycling, which is specifically focused on African cities, and I'll share some of the links to those documents. The other is also, how can we actually support the movement into actually embracing bus rapid transit systems in many of the cities. But one publication that I really wanted to highlight is one that we've developed together with our sister agency, UNEP, on walking and cycling in African cities, and also with the Walk 21 Foundation, where a baseline of 54 African cities actually highlights a lot of inspiring practices and sets out some of those recommendations for governments and other stakeholders in how to actually retain, enable, and protect those already moving in the more sustainable way possible, which is walking and cycling. And in Africa, walking is already the primary mode of transport for the majority of the population. I think it's up to about 78% of people actually walk and cycle on a daily basis. So the 1 billion people that walk and cycle for almost an hour every day put their lives at risk, as they often need to navigate streets without sidewalks, speeding cars, and unsafe crossings. And I think a lot of people have actually spoken about that, approximately 260 pedestrians and 18 cyclists are killed every day in African cities. And at least a safe place to walk and cycle really needs to be catered for. So, Africa actually has 3% of the world's registered vehicles, but 20% of the global road traffic accidents. And I think that actually shows that there's a need to actually focus a lot on road safety. So walking and cycling are really the most affordable and most sustainable transport modes, particularly when integrated with public transport and paratransit. And therefore in Africa, to make that move towards that low carbon action, it doesn't mean a large scale behavioral shift. The behavior is already there. Instead, it's actually about protecting that mode of transport and focusing on safety, accessibility, comfort, and active travel. And finally, I just wanted to say that transport decisions made today will deliver safer, more sustainable and resilient cities in the future. So it all hangs on what we decide to do today. So with that, I say thank you very much.
Thank you, Cecilia. We'll get back to you later in the discussion with some of the questions. I see there's a few questions in the chat. I will now hand over to Mr. Shahidi Azadin, who is the Deputy Director General for the National Road Safety Agency in Morocco. He will be doing the presentation on the Moroccan experience in road safety management. Thank you, Mr. Azadin. Over to you.
Merci. Bonjour tout le monde. J'espère que vous m'entendez et que la présentation elle est partagée.
Oui, c'est tout bon.
C'est avec un grand plaisir que le Maroc participe à cet événement pour célébrer la 7e semaine de la sécurité routière des Nations Unies. Je remercie vivement les organisateurs de cet événement. Donc, sans tarder, je vais vous présenter l'expérience marocaine en matière de sécurité routière. Cette présentation s'articule autour de 4 piliers. Le management de la sécurité routière au Maroc au fil des années, la stratégie nationale actuelle du Maroc en matière de sécurité routière 2017-2026 et le bilan de la sécurité routière au Maroc. Et je termine avec certains projets stratégiques de la sécurité routière qu'on entame actuellement au niveau du Maroc. Donc, le management de la sécurité routière au Maroc, c'est une affaire qui date depuis 1977 avec la création et l'institutionnalisation d'une structure qui est le Comité national de prévention des accidents de la circulation. C'est une structure qui s'est focalisée notamment sur tout ce qui est communication, sensibilisation. Et depuis 2004, on a lancé le premier plan stratégique de la sécurité routière 2004-2013. Cette stratégie, il a mis en œuvre 3 plans stratégiques intégrés d'urgence de la sécurité routière. 2004, 2006, 2008, 2010 et 2011, 2013. Et cette première stratégie, il nous a permis de mettre toutes les instances de gouvernance, notamment en 2006, je vais en parler sur la gouvernance de la sécurité routière. Ça nous a permis aussi en 2010 d'adopter la loi 5205 portant code de la route. Donc, on a fait une refonte de la législation de la sécurité routière et ce code de la route, il est entré en vigueur le 1er octobre 2010. 2014-2016, on a évalué avec l'aide de la Banque mondiale notre première stratégie. On a modifié aussi, on a fait un amendement du code de la route après évaluation de la mise en place du nouveau code de la route. Et on a élaboré une nouvelle stratégie 2017-2026. Et en 2020, donc, c'est la création du chef de file de la sécurité routière. C'est l'Agence nationale de la sécurité routière. C'est un long parcours, le processus de mise en place de cette structure. Il date depuis 2014 avec l'élaboration d'un projet de loi et qui a été passé au niveau du gouvernement et le Parlement marocain. Et c'est en 2018 on a publié les textes, et en 2020, c'est le démarrage effectif de l'Agence nationale de la sécurité routière. Donc, je m'excuse. Donc, pour la stratégie nationale de la sécurité routière, on a deux stratégies, comme je l'ai évoqué, donc 2004-2013, avec une évaluation en 2014-2016, et une deuxième stratégie 2017-2026. La gouvernance de la sécurité routière, c'était en 2006, donc au niveau de l'implémentation de la première stratégie. Donc, il y avait un décret qui a institué les instances de gouvernance. On a 3 instances: le comité interministériel qui est présidé par le chef de gouvernement, le comité permanent qui est présidé par le ministre chargé du transport, et il y a des comités régionaux qui sont présidés par les walis et régions. Et en 2020, il y a la création de la NARSA. On est en train de modifier ce décret pour intégrer l'instance, cette nouvelle structure qui est la NARSA. Pour la stratégie, pour avoir une idée sur notre stratégie en 2017-2026, qui a chevauché avec la première décennie d'action mondiale 2011-2020 et la deuxième décennie 2021-2030. Donc, notre vision, c'était un comportement citoyen, un système routier sécuritaire. Donc, les objectifs, il y avait 2 objectifs. Un objectif intermédiaire, c'est de diminuer de 25% le nombre de tués en 2021. Et un objectif final, c'est la réduction de 50% des tués en 2026. Donc, la stratégie, il est basé sur tout ce qui est pilier du premier plan mondial de la sécurité routière. Donc, la gestion de la sécurité routière, les routes plus sûres, comportement plus sûr, véhicules plus sûrs et post-accident. Bien sûr, tout plan ou stratégie de la sécurité routière doit avoir des bases de données. Donc, c'est la donnée. Là, il faut qu'on ait une base de données fiable des accidents de la circulation. Et la nouveauté de cette stratégie, c'est qu'on a identifié 5 enjeux stratégiques qui sont les piétons, qui présentent 28% des tués, les 2-3 roues motorisées 24%, les accidents avec un seul véhicule 16%, et enfants moins de 14 ans 10%, et transport professionnel 8,70%. Au total, on aura presque 87% des tués. Donc, on doit se focaliser sur ces enjeux stratégiques tout en implémentant la stratégie conformément aux 5 piliers de la décennie d'action. Le bilan de la sécurité routière au Maroc, donc au niveau mondial, donc le Maroc, il occupe des places honorables au niveau de la sécurité routière. Donc, on est en 2018 110e place avec l'indicateur de nombre de tués pour 100 000 habitants qui est à 19,6. Au niveau de l'Afrique, on est en 2018 4 sur 50 pays. Donc, il y a des avancées au niveau des indicateurs de la sécurité routière au Maroc. Donc, les indicateurs, ils sont à la baisse depuis l'implémentation de la sécurité, des stratégies. Là, je vous présente un slide où il y a, avant la première stratégie nationale de sécurité routière, le nombre de tués, il avançait de 5%. Et une fois on a implémenté la première stratégie, on a stabilisé cette évolution de 5%. Donc, il y a une stabilisation. Et après, en 2017-2026, il y a un impact positif sur les indicateurs, notamment le nombre de tués. Comme le montre ce slide, donc un bilan avec le bilan du premier plan quinquennal 2017-2021. On est arrivé en 2021 à moins 2,41. Bien sûr, c'est une diminution, mais c'est en deçà de l'objectif qui est de 25%. Donc, actuellement, on est en train d'évaluer ce plan quinquennal, le premier quinquennat, pour dégager les points faibles et mettre en œuvre une nouvelle stratégie qui sera en harmonie avec le deuxième plan mondial de la sécurité routière. Comme il a été évoqué par mes collègues, il y a un grand problème des usagers vulnérables. Donc, les usagers vulnérables, on a presque 68,8% de tués. C'est des piétons, des 2 et 3 roues et les cyclistes. Un autre constat au niveau de l'évolution des tués, taux de tués au niveau, il y a la part de l'urbain par rapport au rural. On a, au niveau de l'urbain, on a à peu près 10 points de plus qu'en 2011. Donc, c'est un problème. Le problème urbain devient de plus en plus impactant les indicateurs de la sécurité routière. Donc, ça nous interpelle à mettre en œuvre des plans d'action au niveau de l'urbain, notamment pour les usagers vulnérables qui représentent 68%. Pour le bilan de 2022, le bilan provisoire, donc les résultats sont encourageants. Donc, on a, par rapport à 2019, on est à moins 5% de tués. Et par rapport à l'année de base de la stratégie, c'est-à-dire 2015, on est à moins 10,21%. Le dernier pilier, c'est le projet stratégique de la sécurité routière. Donc, la stratégie nationale prévoit une évaluation, donc, comme je l'ai évoqué. On est là-dedans, donc on a lancé un appel d'offres pour l'évaluation de cette stratégie. Donc, on va dégager les points faibles, les points forts de l'implémentation du premier quinquennat. Et c'est l'occasion aussi de mettre en harmonie notre stratégie avec le plan mondial 2021-2030. Un autre projet qui est très, très important, et ça concerne les données de l'accidentologie. Le Maroc a lancé la digitalisation, l'informatisation de la collecte des informations sur les accidents. C'est-à-dire sur le site des accidents, il y aura des PDA qui seront fournis aux agents verbalisateurs et les agents constateurs des accidents pour instruire les éléments de l'accidentologie, notamment la localisation des accidents. Donc, ça va impacter positivement les indicateurs de la sécurité, le suivi et le monitoring de la sécurité routière. Le deuxième projet, c'est tout ce qui est infractions et sanctions. Donc, on a élaboré un plan national de contrôle routier 2020-2024 avec tous les partenaires, notamment la DGSN, la Sûreté nationale et la gendarmerie, avec un plan d'investissement financé par l'ANARSA pour l'acquisition des équipements de contrôle. Et ce plan de contrôle, il est basé sur le système d'accidentologie, c'est-à-dire la base de données ou les tronçons où on a plus de mortalité au niveau, surtout au niveau de leur agglomération. L'accompagnement, comme je l'ai dit, des instances de contrôle routier. Donc, on a commencé l'acquisition des équipements, notamment les radars mobiles, les radars patrouilles. Et actuellement, l'ANARSA, il a installé presque 253 radars nouvelle génération parmi les 552 radars qu'on a acquis début 2020. Aussi, la NARSA, il a opté pour les radars patrouilles. Donc, on a acquis des équipements, 15 véhicules de radars patrouilles qui seront déployés durant la période estivale de 2023. L'infrastructure, donc on a élaboré au niveau de la NARSA un guide des aménagements de la sécurité routière et actuellement on est en train de former les collectivités territoriales sur ce guide, notamment les ingénieurs et les techniciens des collectivités pour l'adoption des bonnes pratiques en aménagement de la sécurité routière. Donc je passe pour le post-accident. Donc il y a des conventions avec la Direction générale de la protection civile et la NARSA, il est en train d'élaborer un projet de construction de centres qui permet d'intervenir dans les meilleurs délais possibles au niveau des accidentogènes. Pour tout ce qui est homologation, donc le Maroc il dispose d'un référentiel d'homologation comportant 102 règles et on est en train de voir la possibilité d'adhérer à l'accord de l'ONU. Donc les travaux sont presque dans les phases finales et on prévoit à ce que dans une année ou deux, on va ratifier cette convention. Pour ce qui est contrôle technique, la même chose, le Maroc prévoit l'adhésion à l'accord de l'ONU pour adopter le phrasier et les points de contrôle qui sont adoptés et on est en phase finale d'implémentation. À titre de rappel, le Maroc il a opté pour les réseaux de contrôle technique. On a 4 réseaux et chaque réseau il a des centres de contrôle technique qui gèrent où il offre le système d'information et l'audit des centres de contrôle technique. Un dernier projet qui est très important, c'est on a élaboré un programme dédié à la sécurisation du transport en commun de personnes par autocar qu'on a appelé Safe Autocar. L'objectif, c'est de rendre le transport en commun interurbain par autocar plus sûr, de bonne qualité et respectueux de l'environnement. On a réservé un budget cette année de 200 millions de dirhams, presque 20 millions d'euros. On aura le renouvellement du parc autocar pour rajeunir l'âge moyen des autocars et avoir un âge moyen de 10 ans. L'intégration des systèmes d'aide à la conduite, les ADAS, et aussi l'intégration des systèmes télématiques, notamment le GPS. Il y a le volet en formation et volet refonte de l'examen d'obtention du permis de conduire des autocars. Donc, on a un projet qui est intégré au niveau de la NARSA avec la collaboration des partenaires, notamment l'Office de la formation professionnelle, le ministère du Transport et de la Logistique. Ainsi prend fin ma présentation. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Thank you, Mr. Azadin. We move swiftly along to Mr. Sheikh Oumar Gaid, Director General of National Road Safety Agency, Senegal. He will be doing a presentation on the establishment of a lead road safety agency in Senegal. What are the challenges and the prospects thereof? Can I ask the speakers just to keep to time, as we are running a bit late as well? Thank you.
You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oui. Bonjour tout le monde. Placide, est-ce que tu peux partager le document? Bonjour, Monsieur le Président de la Commission de l'Union africaine, honorable ministre, honorable commissaire des Nations Unies pour l'Afrique, très chers collègues. Je suis à Ouassar, donc je vais faire la présentation de Anazer à la place de Monsieur Cheikh Arguey, notre directeur général, qui est empêché, il est parti en mission. Donc il est sur le terrain et en voiture. Donc est-il possible, Placide, de partager l'écran? Parce que je suis sur mon téléphone, nous avons des problèmes de connexion. Donc je n'ai pas le document, c'est pourquoi je voulais partager. Est-ce que Placide m'entend ou TADC? Alors, je vais faire la présentation sans les slides. Placide? Bon. Alors, merci beaucoup de nous avoir invités à ce lancement de la Semaine mondiale pour la sécurité routière, dont le thème est, au niveau mondial et pour l'Union africaine, repenser la mobilité. Donc, nous allons présenter rapidement le contexte de la création de l'Agence nationale de sécurité routière, où je suis directrice de la promotion de la sécurité routière et de la communication, l'organigramme, les domaines d'intervention, sur mission, comment nous fonctionnons et les ressources financières. Donc, cette agence, quel est le contexte de création? Ça a été créé par le décret de novembre 2021 qui marque la volonté du Sénégal sur des actions dans le sens de l'atteinte des objectifs de développement durable des Nations Unies et une loi d'orientation de 2020 qui organise les transports terrestres a mis en place les bases pour pouvoir mettre en place cette agence-là. Merci, Placide. Et également dans la droite ligne des résolutions donc, des Nations Unies, mais également de la CEDEAO, de l'UMOA, pour mettre en place des agences de sécurité routière. Et nous remercions d'ailleurs au SAD, si les gens mondiales sont là, et la BAD pour vraiment leur apport et leur soutien pour l'installation de cette agence de sécurité routière au Sénégal. Et c'est le contexte, bien sûr, de réduction de 50% du nombre de décès et de blessés graves d'ici 2020, mais également dans la mise en place du schéma harmonie de sécurité routière dans les pays de l'espace UMOA. Slide. On est parti un peu trop loin. Est-ce que tu peux revenir? On est un peu trop loin. Voilà, donc nous avons un conseil de surveillance, une mission générale, un secrétariat général et plusieurs directions qui sont vraiment alignées aux piliers de la décennie MEL afin d'atteindre efficacement les objectifs de cette décennie-là. Nous avons la direction des idées de la planification, également la direction donc, de l'audit, de la conformité, post-action, l'action de la sécurité routière, la direction du développement et des partenariats, beaucoup plus administratif et financière. Plan au plan piliers basé sur la mobilité durée sur la sécurité routière, des plus sûrs, la sécurité des projets.
Thank you.
Comment?
The interpreters are struggling to hear you. Is it possible for you to reconnect and we are able to get a better?
You can hear me?
That sounds better. Interpreters, is that better?
Is it better? You hear me better now?
That's much better from my side.
It's much better from your side. Okay.
Thank you.
So I can go ahead. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, Robert. Urgence post-accident et également la gestion de la vitesse qui est... you can hear me. You still can hear me? Robert, please, could you let me?
Nous ne pouvons pas vous recevoir correctement. Je pense qu'il y a un problème de connexion à votre niveau.
Il y a un problème de connexion ici à l'agence. Donc, je suis sur mon téléphone et sur l'ordinateur, un gros problème de connexion. Donc, bon, je vous laisse les slides et les partager à ce moment-là.
Bien sûr, vous pouvez continuer.
Je peux continuer?
Oui,
OK.
Oui.
D'accord. Donc, les domaines d'intervention.
The technical challenge, perhaps we should leave it there with the slides and we can move on. And if we do get you back, we can then resume, if that's fine.
Yes, I have only 2 slides left, so.
Only 2 slides. Okay. All right. Continue.
Anyway,
then.
I was. Yes. Let me do it in French. La sécurité routière donc, est un domaine transversal. Donc, il y a nos domaines d'intervention. C'est vraiment la gestion et la coordination de la politique et de la stratégie nationale de sécurité routière pour le Sénégal. La programmation et les plans d'investissement. L'Observatoire de la sécurité routière et des informations sur les accidents. Nous avons d'ailleurs fait un congrès auquel vous avez participé pour la plupart intervenants d'aujourd'hui sur vraiment les systèmes d'information sur les accidents et l'harmonisation de ces systèmes pour qu'il y ait un niveau quand même assez élevé pour la collecte et la gestion des données d'accidents en Afrique, principalement les pays participants, Afrique de l'Ouest, Afrique francophone. Donc, nous agissons sur la sécurité d'infrastructures par des études, inspections et audits, également sur la sécurité des véhicules par les études et des contrôles que nous faisons après le contrôle technique, parce que nous nous sommes en charge du contrôle technique au Sénégal. Donc, pour la sécurité des usagers, nous agissons pour l'éducation routière, mais également pour la communication, pour les populations, mais également de la sensibilisation sur un niveau terrain, beaucoup plus avec les communautés. La post-accidentologie également est un domaine d'intervention de la NASER dans le cadre de ces missions qui sont d'élaborer et de mettre en œuvre la stratégie nationale et les plans d'action sécurité routière pour le pays. Nous veillons également à la mise en place d'un schéma harmonisé de la gestion pour la sécurité routière, la mise en œuvre des programmes et autres de gestion des activités relatives à la sécurité routière et l'assistance aux activités qui définissent eux-mêmes, mais avec notre assistance, les programmes locaux de sécurité routière. Nous sommes en train d'ailleurs de faire des CRD, des comités régionaux pour la sécurité routière en rapport avec les gouvernements, pour vraiment collecter leurs besoins spécifiques selon les 14 régions du Sénégal. Nous élaborons également les plans pluriannuels et multisectoriels d'investissement en faveur de la sécurité routière, de même que les programmes de sécurité routière sur les systèmes de gestion de données. Nous sommes en charge de la publication régulière des rapports. Nous promouvons également la recherche et le transfert de connaissances pour renforcer les capacités des acteurs. Nous travaillons beaucoup avec le secteur privé, les transporteurs également, mais également les auto-écoles, pour une mise à niveau vraiment de leurs modules de sécurité routière et intégrer effectivement des modules de sécurité routière non seulement auprès des formateurs, mais également pour le passage du permis de conduire. Et donc, nous contribuons donc à la définition également des politiques sous-régionales. Il y a la mise en rapport donc, des services concernés avec les opérations de contrôle routier, parce que nous travaillons avec les forces de l'ordre et dans le cadre de la mise en place de brigades mixtes de sécurité routière. Les audits et inspections sont également de notre ressort sur les infrastructures routières et l'homologation de ces infrastructures routières en termes de niveau de sécurité. Et l'étude et l'analyse des dispositifs émanés on prend des conseils, l'utilisation des réseaux, l'application des règlements concernant les véhicules, les conducteurs et transporteurs commerciaux, ainsi que les mesures de rétablissement et de traitement après l'accident sont également du ressort de la NASER. Vous voyez que c'est quand même très ambitieux et nous essayons de nous donner, malgré la jeune existence de l'agence, les moyens vraiment de pouvoir réaliser cette ambition-là, puisque la sécurité routière est quand même devenue endémique, surtout en ce début d'année au Sénégal, où vous avez assisté malheureusement à vraiment la médiatisation des 2 accidents de 6 kilos et de Sakal qui ont fait beaucoup de morts qui auraient pu être évités au Sénégal. Donc, je vais passer rapidement sur ce slide-là. Conseil de surveillance, actuellement, l'organigramme, vous l'avez déjà eu un peu plus haut. Financières dont nous disposons, ce sont des dotations globales annuelles qui sont par l'État, également produits de participation financière, le Fonds de développement des transports terrestres, peut-être que le lecteur est connecté aujourd'hui, et on met à disposition des fonds, ainsi que les ressources du Fonds d'entretien routier du Sénégal, et toute ressource qui peut être autorisée par loi ou règlement, et également certaines, nous pouvons des dons internationaux ou nationaux. Donc, les charges, c'est en dépenses de fonction et d'investissement. Je vais m'en arrêter là et vous remercier pour votre attention et répondre à l'éventuel.
So we are losing you again. So we are losing you again.
Are you losing me again?
Okay,
It's finished. The slides are finished. So I was thanking everybody for your attention, and yes, you hear me?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, Robert.
Thank you for the presentation. Next up, we have Susanna Zamataro, the Director General from the IRF, on improving policy and action for safe mobility. Thank you.
Is it visible to all of you?
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much. I'm just trying to put it on large screen. I hope it's visible to all of you.
It's okay.
Yes, it is visible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, I am conscious of the delay that we have taken, so I'll be very, very brief with my presentation. First of all, let me thank UNECA for the invitation to the International Road Federation and also for their leadership in hosting this event today. I'm going to share with you 2 examples of how we can deliver on everything that has been so brilliantly touched upon by the previous speakers throughout this event this morning. And I want to start by putting on my first hat as a member of the Sustainable Mobility for All initiative. This is an initiative that brings around the table 55 transport organizations around the table. So that means not just road transport, but also aviation, maritime, and rail. We just finalized a new piece of work within the Sustainable Mobility for All that will be launched on the 24th of May during the ITF Summit, which is hosted in Leipzig. We'll be hosting a press event on the 24th to present to the press the report, and then what is called a side event during the summit program to go into a little bit more details of what this work is all about. The report Enhancing Policy and Action for a Safe Mobility is the result of the work of the working group Safe Mobility of Some for All, which I have had, as I have the pleasure to lead together with Nicolas Beaumont, and have had the pleasure to work with quite a number of key organizations and experts on these topics. And I'm extremely grateful for them. Even the way we have worked is a typical example of that collaboration and partnership that many of you have been mentioning in your presentations today. As you have heard, and I think Mr. Jean Todt, the UN Secretary General Special Envoy for Road Safety, mentioned it very well at the beginning of his speech. Probably we need to start doing things differently if after a first already decade of action, yet we are experiencing and recording those terrible numbers that many of you have made reference to today. So there's a need of a paradigm shift from the traditional way in which we approach safe system approach and in the way that we use it somehow. And through this report, we suggest two different ways, or two different entry points through which doing that. First of all, how we can embed the safe system approach in transport strategies, policies, and programs. And on the other side, also how do we build consistent support for the safe system. Some of you have, some of the previous speakers have mentioned about the need to develop capacity at different level, and that's exactly what this report is trying to do. What is new in this piece of work? We have tried to build on the expertise that each organization has and the work that has been done collectively out there, and lay out a process to exactly do what we have been discussing this morning, moving from high-level statements and commitments into action. And of course, aligning with the recommendations of the new global plan for the decade of action, we do suggest throughout the report how can and give tools of how countries can implement this systemic and integrated approach to road safety in a way that will have those positive synergies and spillover effects on the other three policy goals that constitute sustainable mobility, and that has been really the center of the conversation this morning. So not looking at road safety in isolation as we have done so far, but really seeing safety as one of the components, and in conjunction with everything else that we need to do to deliver sustainable mobility. In the report, we provide, as I mentioned, actionable policy guidance, and also back that up with a number of case studies and examples, and also cross-references to resources, to anything, tools that already exist and that will help us and countries and many of the decision makers that are around the table this morning in this event to translate the safe system approach and mainstream it into sustainable mobility, but also urban development. So two entry points: embed the safe system and build capacity. And when we look at building the capacity, we have also looked at two different points. The importance not only to identify where capacity development is needed at different levels of the government agencies, but also as policymakers, how can you build support for implementing the safe system approach? And then on what kind of resources and knowledge are you going to use and build upon your action? On the embedding the safe system approach is really this idea that many of you have been mentioning we need to really flip the hierarchy and prioritize integrated transport systems that encourage active and modes of transport and public transport, of course, as many of you have been mentioning. When it comes to building a capacity, it's about developing tailored capacity building offers for decision makers around the safe system approach. We notice very often with project work that there's very often within governments and agencies quite a turnover of people. So we need to make sure that those who are in charge of safety, of sustainable mobility, do have the necessary skills and knowledge. At the same time, we need to build an environment around a conducive environment, also around policy and decision makers. And so the need to upskill knowledge for non-governmental audiences, for journalists, for NGOs, and here the Global Alliance of Road Safety NGOs is doing a fantastic job in that respect. When it comes to building support for your actions, it's also important to say we need to shift away in those traditional road safety awareness campaigns. There's somebody who has the microphone open, maybe if they can be muted. Thank you very much. And ensure that whatever we do for road safety is actually linked and it's part of a global action global action for climate and also and health. We need also to make sure that we produce and share knowledge and good practices and really coming together as a group. It has been, even for us who are experts and meeting each other very often in a number of different settings, to still understand that there's a tremendous need to have that knowledge not only produced but also hosted and shared as much as possible for it to be used. This is for under my hat, Some for All, Sustainable Mobility for All report. So again, to those of you who are coming to Leipzig, please join us to learn more about this. And of course, we will be hosting also online events to make sure that you get familiar with the content and the approach in this new report. I want also to share with you quickly in the next few minutes an experience, actually a very positive experience we have had with the 10-step plan for safer road infrastructure, which has been implemented as a pilot project in Tanzania under the leadership of UNECA. And thanks to the funding of the Road Safety Fund, the Global Road Safety Facility of World Bank through funding via UK aid, and from a consortium of partners led by the IRF, the International Road Federation I represent, and that was composed also by the IRAP, the PIARC, and the Tanzania National Road Association. And I want to mention this example very quickly to give a sense of how once you provide a framework and some assistance, how much you are able to deliver and move forward. The project, since the very beginning, has helped to embed improvements in how new and existing roads and thousands of kilometers of roads in Tanzania will be actually designed, upgraded, and managed for improved road safety, not just now, but also in the future. And how have we been able to do so? By working in partnerships, something that many of you have been mentioning today. It's only by bringing not only our different expertise, but also all our resources and networks together that we are really able to deliver. And just to mention quickly some of the results and the impact that the project has been able to produce. We worked with the national authorities to write a new infrastructure safety strategy and action plan. Using the IRAP methodology, we have been able to increase and expand safety data to more than 10,000 kilometers of roads in Tanzania. We set up and launched a national road assessment program. We'll work on a revision on the Tanzania road geometric manual. We have this. Can somebody close the microphone? Thank you. We have trained a tremendous number of people, not just from the government, but also from private sector, from NGO and academia. And by doing this and connecting as well with ongoing work and project funded by NDBs or that is going to be delivered in the country, we have been able to influence what we estimate is more than 1 billion investments in bank finance, transport corridor, and projects. I want to spend one word, and I will conclude with this. The investment on people is fundamental and has been central, really, in our work. Thanks to this project, Tanzania can now rely on 146 skilled professionals who have been trained and certified after thorough also testing on how to perform road safety audits, assessments, and yes, following the methodology of IRAP. All the reports and much more that I could synthesize in a few minutes is available about the 10th step on the GTKP, the Global Transport Knowledge Portal. It's our knowledge center managed by the IMF. And with that, I just say thank you very much for listening, and thank you again for UNECA for giving us the opportunity. Back to you.
Thank you, Susanna. I think we will now move into the discussion section, so the presenters can be available in case there are questions in the queue. If I go back to the chat, the first question that I trace is from Lee Randall, and it was to Cecilia on whether paratransit is included by the UN Habitat. Cecilia, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. And no, and thank you for that. Yes, actually, when we've been monitoring the achievement of the SDG indicator, we've been looking at sort of transportation stops. So it can be public transport or it can be paratransit. So yes, they are included as much as possible. We've been trying to make sure that we've been able to aggregate all of that. And thank you also for the comment on accidents and crashes, and I'm taking note, and we'll change that in future.
Thank you. Thank you, Cecilia. Are there any other comments before we get into general discussion? Proceed on the issue of your presentation regarding the first pillar, and you touched on the issue of funding and capacitation that would be required, as well as collaboration. In the experience of the study that you referred to, how good is the collaboration in various sectors within that pillar? Do you have some info on that, Proceed?
Yes, Kevin, let me give you the response in French. Oui, en matière de financement, nous pouvons avoir des financements propres et durables. C'est ce qui est recherché, mais il y a également des possibilités de communiquer donc avec des institutions de financement pour avoir des fonds. Ce que nous suggérons fortement au pays, c'est d'avoir une stratégie de financement, et cette stratégie de financement met l'accent sur des fonds propres, également identifie des voies et moyens pour pouvoir lever des fonds au niveau national. Toujours est-il que nous autres, à notre niveau, en tant que think tank et également supportant des pays sur des thématiques assez précises, nous sommes ouverts, nous appuyons plusieurs pays à élaborer soit des stratégies ou également des législations et autres. Merci.
Plus, Chair, if I can just come in for 1 second, please. I want to plead with you and the presenters that we are running terribly late, and the interpreters are already having an issue with us. Normally, we're already exceeding the time. So if we could maybe wrap up this session and move to the next session so that the interpreters, they don't walk out of us. Thank you so much. Maybe, I don't know, I leave it up to you to close the session somehow. I don't know if you want to give back to the speakers or how you want to do it, but please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, sorry, Director. Given the time constraints, and I hear that the interpreters are already leaving the session. So yes, let me hand back to the overall organizer for the second session of the segment 2. Thank you.
So much. I think the next session is going to be chaired by Eswatini, and we apologize for those who have not had the chance to ask the questions. Please do send the questions on the chat box. We will make every effort to respond to them. And we thank all the speakers, particularly Ayeraf, Susanna, for joining us. Okay, so I will just give the floor now to Eswatini. I think it's Manla who will chair this session. Please, let's keep to the time, and let's not exceed these 10 minutes that we say per presenter. If they could take a bit less, that would be good, and perhaps we can entertain a few questions and then we wrap up. Thank you. Over to you, Manla.
Thank you so much, Robert, and thank you for the opportunity to moderate. I just want to check whether I am audible.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
You are, Madla.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the first session from Kevin. It was a session where we were looking at road safety management, planning on how to address the issues we're facing in road safety. We are now moving into action because after every plan, we then need to action. So without any waste of time, can I request the Nigeria Road Safety Peace Corps, represented by Dauda Ali Biyu. You'll forgive me if I pronounce wrongly, but I think you do catch. He'll be telling us how they do enforce road safety in Nigeria. And please do try to stick to the time, and over to you. Please proceed.
Mr. Dauta, please.
Can he hear us? Can he confirm if he's hearing the chair?
Are you there? If he's not there, can we get the next person ready?
I don't seem to get him. Can we have Rwanda getting ready?
Hello, Placid. Hello.
Is that Dauda?
Hello, hello. Hello, Placid. He's coming up. He's coming up. Can you hear?
Can you please hurry up? We're waiting for him.
He's coming up. It's just a technical issues. He's trying to share the presentation on his system. Okay. Yes, he's coming up right away. Okay. Just in a minute. Thank you.
We already helped him by sharing the presentation from our end.
Yes.
اهلا بك اسمعني.
proceed Dauda.
موجود انت لا تكفى مع حاجه كلمني خاطرني ماشي لازم نمشي.
Maybe we can have a challenge if it's already loaded by Placid and he's trying to load it as well. So I don't know, either Placid controls the slides or Placid takes it off and he controls it.
Hello, Placid. Let me tell him to stamp down his own system so that you share for him. Can you hear me, Placid?
Okay, I stopped. He can download.
Okay. Yes. Upload. Okay. You share for him. You share for him. Don't worry. I'll tell him to stand up his own, stand down his own presentation. Thank you.
Let him start. We can see the presentation now. Dauda, please proceed.
Mandla, I think we should go forward and come back. He could present just after
yes
Rwandan representative. Yes.
Yeah, I also think we need to move to Rwanda. Can we have Alfred Biyinjira load his screen? Dauda will come after him if he's ready.
Hello, everyone. This is Alfred from Rwanda. Placid, I don't know if you can help, otherwise I can share my screen.
Please,
all right.
I think.
Can you share it again?
Yes, sure.
As I've just said, I'm called Alfred Byiringiro. I'm Chief Technical Advisor in charge of transport, working for the Ministry of Infrastructure in Rwanda. So I'm very happy for this invitation to talk about digitalization of enforcement of road traffic laws in Rwanda. So as the chair said, I tried to be very fast. It's 10 slides presentation. I think I will manage to present it within 10 minutes. Why still loading? Placid is still loading this presentation. So my presentation is of four items. The first one is background. The second one is the responsibilities of key players in road safety. Then I talk about the digitalization of enforcement of road traffic laws in Rwanda. Then I will briefly talk about other practices to ensure road safety in Rwanda. Then I will mention challenges and the way forward. Placid, if maybe I can try to share it from my side.
Can you see my screen?
No, not yet.
Okay, you can share it then.
Can you see it?
We can see that you are trying to. Yes, we can see.
Yes, it's on now.
All right. So I've just said, mentioned the outline of the presentation. I go straight to background where I'm sharing that Rwanda has made tremendous effort to improve road safety, where we introduced the automated speed limit enforcing camera, the speed governors in commercial vehicles, vehicle inspection to ensure the quality of vehicles we are using on our roads, but also we spent a lot in road infrastructure improvement, make sure that the road users are safe. So we have different key players in this in road safety. We have the Ministry of Infrastructure, which is in charge of policy development. We have also an implementing agency under the ministry, which is Rwanda Transport Development Agency. We have Rwanda National Police, which is in charge of laws enforcement. Then you have the Rwanda Utility Regulatory Authority, but also we have the city of Kigali, which is our capital city, which deals with the infrastructure development when it comes to road safety improvement. So I will just go through the responsibilities very quickly. As I said, the ministry is in charge of development of policies, strategies, laws, orders, and the programs to sustain road safety. But also we monitor activities meant to elaborate, monitor, and assess the implementation of the policies related to road safety. The Rwanda Transport Development Agency in charge of road construction, rehabilitation, and maintenance. Then the road safety audits, correction of black spots where need be. Also installation of road traffic signs to ensure that the road users are well guided to use the roads appropriately. Then the installation of crash barriers where need be. The Rwanda National Police is the one which really has it in its hands all activities related to enforcement, but also day-to-day management of road safety. They're in charge of testing and licensing to ensure that the drivers are equipped enough to drive safely. They're also in charge of traffic laws enforcement, the motor vehicle inspection. In case there is some big event, they're also in charge of escorting the VIP delegations, but they conduct also the investigation after accident, but also they are the ones who acquire modern road safety equipment, but also conduct some awareness in collaboration with the ministry and also other public institutions. When it comes to our regulator, they just provide license to especially to motorcycle riders, where they make sure that they have to comply with some regulations before they can be licensed to do the motorcycle transport profession. The city of Kigali, as I said, they focus on the infrastructure development in the city of Kigali, while RTD I mentioned before deals with infrastructure development out of the city of Kigali. So now, as the core topic of today, it's about the digitalization of road traffic enforcement in Rwanda. So so far, Rwanda has made some steps in the digitalization of the traffic enforcement, traffic law enforcement. Where currently we do have the speed enforcing camera. We have also red light cameras and CCTV along our roads countrywide. The high technology of red light cameras, in addition to just checking the speed of the road users, the automobiles using the roads in Rwanda, the red light cameras, they can detect whether there is a violation of even the horizontal traffic signs. For instance, when a vehicle is violating, let's say, the zebra crossing, the red light camera are able to detect, then the driver will receive a message that he has violated the zebra crossing, then he will get a ticket to pay the fines. They can also detect people who are just using the lanes, the road lanes in the wrong way. For instance, if there is a narrow showing that you have to go straight, once you are turning right or left, so you'll be fine. So they are really very helpful, especially at very busy junctions where they can monitor each vehicle doing wrong turn, also maybe violating the traffic signs as well as the horizontal signs. So you can see that also the installation of speed limit enforcing camera are set to monitor speed limit violation, but both speed enforcing camera and the red light cameras can both be used for speed limit violation detection. The figure there, the photo shows the now that speed enforcing camera, but which is also similar to red light camera. They are similar, but the equipment inside they are different. Another item that was developed is the development of one-stop center that will eliminate human contacts to make it a fully computerized system to ensure that we limit the contacts between the police agency and the road users. This has a lot of the benefits as I mentioned in the next slide. So, but as you can see, the bullet here, the non-automated manual driver testing system tends to be subjected to the examiners. For instance, you can go for, let's say, practical driving test, and depending on the examiner, you can get your driving license while you don't deserve it. So this center, it is planned to launch it this year, will allow someone who is undertaking that driving test to go without anyone in the car. Then he will take a vehicle, he will do his all tests without interaction with anyone. He will get a commandment, he will be directed by someone from the control tower without any contact, any physical contact with the examiner. So this will help us to ensure that the driver, the one who's conducting his exam, is really deserves the driving license to ensure that the users of roads are equipped enough with the skills to drive safely. So we have also what we call handheld terminal cashless system. This allows someone who is fined to pay. You can pay directly without necessarily to going to bank, without necessarily to go spending your time at bank or anywhere else. You can use your Visa card, then you pay your fine, then you are done. Another item that was done to digitalize the enforcement of road traffic laws is the automated number plate recognition. So that, for instance, if for instance you are driving, then you have some areas that you didn't pay, or maybe your vehicle inspection certificate has expired, they can detect you, then they will stop you. They will ask you to fix the issues you already have before proceeding. If your vehicle inspection has expired, you will be required to go, you will first of all pay fines, but you will be directed to the vehicle inspection center for your vehicle checking. But also they can also detect that either your insurance has expired or if you have some areas of traffic offenses using this automated number plate recognition. So the benefits, I mentioned some of them, just for the matter of time. We have, as I said, the reduced interaction between traffic police agent and road users. This has a significant reduction in fraud and corruption cases, but also there is a reduction of stops due to police agents, speed limit enforcers. Once you are driving, for instance, up country, we used to get stopped by the police agents asking you, what is your insurance? Where is your vehicle inspection center? You have overspeed. You have overspeed. So this was resolved by those cameras which are installed along our national highways. Again, there is a reduction of number of road accidents caused by overspeeding because everyone is driving as per the road traffic signs. But this also it's helping to address the bad behavior and attitude of motorcycle riders. It has also an impact on e-payment, thus no times going to the bank. So I think those are the benefits. Maybe for the matter of time, maybe for the benefit of time, you can go through the presentation as it will be shared by Eka. So these are other practices that are done to improve road safety in Rwanda. Like we organize sometimes sessions for zebra crossing, especially in school zones. We do also conduct some awareness campaigns where we go and we install some traffic signs. But as you can see at your right, you see that the Rwanda National Police officers, they're also teaching or showing the kids at school how to cross roads to ensure that they're safe while crossing. So these are also other interventions. Yeah, as you might know, Rwanda, I think it might be among the first country to ensure that everyone who is using a motorcycle is wearing a helmet. You see, everyone is required to wear a helmet while on a motorcycle ride. So these are the guns. They are the upper right side. These are the cameras used to use, but now we're shifting to the other ones I mentioned before. So what we used to call them the high-tech laser radar gun to detect the speed of vehicles. But now we're shifting to the new versions I showed before. So you have some challenges, but also we have some more proposed way forward. Currently, Rwanda is still ranked poorly on road safety, mainly due to lack of documentation of the improvements made in our road safety. We have also, the data is also not available. It's not yet published as the international standards. Even if you enforce the helmets also, we don't have yet a helmet standards. So
sorry, Mr. Birengeo, to interrupt you, interpreters are going to leave, so that so if you can just wrap up and somehow go forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. As I said, you have shared everything. Maybe just to conclude, I can mention that we are working on these issues. I have just mentioned where we are planning to have the road accident management system and the support of ECA and FI Foundation, also developing the helmet standards and also acquiring the helmet testing equipment. I think I can stop by here. I thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Alfred. It was indeed an enlightening presentation. Let us now move on to Sita to share with us good practices for setting up a viable inspection system. And Mr. Edward Fernandez, can you please take the floor?
Yes, good afternoon, I guess, everyone. Greetings. Edward Fernandez talking to you from Brussels, Belgium. If someone can confirm that you can hear me, that you can see the presentation.
We do hear you. We can see the screen as well.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for the introduction, and thank you to UNECA for having us here today. It's very much a privilege for us to share with you this celebration of the 7th United Nations.
Edward, it seems
yes.
You are not sharing the right file.
I'm not sharing the right file. Just a moment, please. Let's give another try. Is it working now?
It's okay. It's okay now. Please let go fast because interpreters are going to leave in 5 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah, going very fast now, who we are, for those that who doesn't know, we are the association bringing together authorities and authorized companies active in the work of vehicle compliance. And vehicle compliance is very much related to something that we have heard before in the previous presentation from our colleague. Our colleague was talking about enforcement. Here we are talking as well about enforcement. So at one side we have the theory, which are the laws, the theoretical framework. On the other side we have reality, is how those laws are applied, enforcement. So it's necessary not only define the right thing for road safety, it's necessary that what we defined, it's applied. And this is enforcement, and it's going to be one of the main concepts in my speech today. What's the impact of that vehicle compliance? Here in the screen you have several cases. In Costa Rica, before and after the introduction of vehicle inspection scheme, 40% of crash reduction. In Turkey, before and after the introduction of vehicle inspection, 15% less fatalities. And in Spain, the introduction of the inspection of moped, the small two-wheelers, less than 50 cubic centimeters, less than 45 kilometers per hour, that has reduced 18% the amount of fatalities. And on the emission side, the vehicle inspection prevents more than 400 premature deaths per year. We have as well the case of the United States. In the United States, not all the states have safety inspection. So if we compare the states having inspection with those states that do not have inspection, the difference in fatalities is 4.6%, even if the inspection there, it's a very simple one. Another case where we can get data is Slovakia, where you can see that the crash rate increases with the time that has elapsed since the last inspection. So there's a clear impact there, which goes far beyond the accident analysis, but that would be something to talk about in other occasion. So in order to define a successful and a good system to ensure vehicle compliance, we need to take very much into account the vehicle's life.
Please continue. Are you still there, Edward?
I think Edward is facing some technical challenges, and please, Mandla, I think we will have to wrap up because our interpreters are no more there.
Yeah, thank you, Placid. Thank you, Robert. I think we are having challenges on this last session.
Okay.
I just want to check if we still do have time to have another presentation, or I hand back to you.
I think my understanding is that that was the last presentation. Obviously, we had the presentation from Nigeria, which was challenging. But given where we are, I think maybe if there are some questions for Rwanda, Chair, maybe you can entertain those.
Nigeria is back. Nigeria is ready to present.
Okay, we are really late. So if you are ready, Nigeria, could you please go ahead with the permission of the chair? Manla, maybe you could entertain Nigeria since you are ready for less than 10 minutes, I hope, and then we can wrap.
Yeah, 10 minutes only.
All right, thank you very much. I don't know if I have the floor now. Hello, Mr. Chair.
Please continue. You've got 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. This presentation is being done on behalf of the Commercial Federal Safety Corps Nigeria, who is not able to make it here. The Honorable Ministers of Transport, all the senior officers from African Union Commission and the ECA, distinguished participants, the road safety family in Africa and beyond. It's my pleasure and honor to be with you here to make this presentation on enforcing road safety, the case of Nigeria. It's really a big opportunity for us to talk about what we have been doing to ensure safer roads in Nigeria and to ensure a better life for the Nigerian road users. Very briefly, I will be talking about what Nigeria has done in the area of ensuring safety on the Nigerian roads, and also what results we've been able to get over the years. The Federal Road Safety Corps is the lead agency in road safety in Nigeria, and this organization came into being in 1988 as a
Can you move the slides through? Can you move the slides? We're still on the topic slide.
I am trying to do that.
Okay, proceed.
Okay. Okay. So to ensure effective and efficient administration of management of road safety in Nigeria, the federal government of Nigeria took some very deliberate actions. And one of that is the establishment of the Federal Road Safety Corps in 1988. And this was during the military era. And when eventually we transited into a democracy, the military decree was reenacted, and it was called the Federal Road Safety Corps Establishment Act in 2007. So this is an act of parliament that gives the lead agency the wherewithal to be able to carry out enforcement, make policies, and also guide the government at all levels. In Nigeria, we have 3 levels of government: the federal, the state, and the local government authorities. So this has been a major leap in the direction of finding solutions to the problem of road safety fatalities and injuries in Nigeria. And after this, the road safety became a mainstream in the government of Nigeria because we were able to establish a budget line for road safety the way it is done for police, for customs, immigration. So it has helped in the area of funding a lot. However, this is not to say that there is enough funding for the organization. And also administratively, the organization is being supervised by the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. This is to show that the lead agency is domiciled at the highest level of government in Nigeria. So with this, the FRSC Nigeria is set to carry out the mandate that was given to it by the Enabling Act. And what are these mandates? One of the first thing is, the summary of it is that the organization has a mandate to ensure safety of lives and property on the roads. And this is done through, number 1, traffic law enforcement. You can see me in uniform. So the road safety, the lead agency in road safety in Nigeria is actually a paramilitary organization, giving power like the custom, immigration, and the police. So with this, we're able to have an administrative structure that is paramilitary in nature. We have chain of commands where we have a national headquarters, we have zonal offices, and also sector commands in all the 36 states of the Federation, and then the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. So the Federal Safety Corps is everywhere in Nigeria, in all the states and in all the local governments, except some riverine parts of Nigeria.
And our initiatives to ensure safer roads in Nigeria included public enlightenment, which we do in the motor parks. And also we use every available opportunity where we can talk to the public. We go to worship centers and also schools, particularly primary schools, secondary schools, to talk to the staff there and also the students with the intention to inculcate the idea of road safety in the young ones. We call it the Catch Them Young program. And also we try as much as possible to engage all groups in the society. We have volunteers, we call them the special marshals. These are people who have shown enthusiasm in the area of road safety. We do screening for them and then give them some training, and we have a very unique uniform that we give them. So with this, where the road safety corps are not present, the special marshals are there as volunteers. Most of the time they help to control traffic and also check excessive behavior by maybe motorcycle riders or commercial vehicles, plus the commercial vehicle drivers, especially in urban centers, who always constitute major problems in the urban centers. And also we adopt technology in ensuring that we're able to catch up with the rate of growth of motorization and population in Nigeria. You agree with me that Nigeria has a population of over 200 million people with 204,000 kilometers of paved roads, so it's massive. So with technology, we're able to enhance traffic law enforcement in Nigeria through the use of body-worn camera that gives us good control of real-time sight of what is going on the roads. And also with this, we're able to influence the behavior of the Nigerian road user, because the most important thing is that we want to influence positively the behavior of the road users. So with the cameras, even when we're not there, the average motorist is being careful, believing that the law is watching him. And with that, they're able to they behave relatively better. And also, we had issues with drunk driving. With the application of evidence-based breathalyzers, we are able to also achieve some results in that. We have been able to reduce the incidence of drunk driving in Nigeria through the use of evidence-based alcoholizers in Nigeria. Then one other area we have also had to take specific actions is the issue of speed reduction. Speed, as it is elsewhere, has been identified as the major single factor that is really aggravating the incidence of crashes, injury, and death. And in Nigeria, it has been a very difficult thing trying to bring down the speed. So what the Federal Safety Corps has done is to start a program on speed limiting device. And our focus had been on the heavy goods vehicles, long distance, commercial buses, and other heavy duty vehicles that are plying the roads. So we engaged the transport unions, the Ministry of Transport, and then the state governments, and also major fleet owners in Nigeria. They have all keyed into the program, and we are combining advocacy, enlightenment, and enforcement all at the same time. And the result is that a lot of major fleet owners have installed speed limiting device in their buses for the passenger fleet operators, and then in their trucks, especially the heavy duty trailers and tankers. So speed as a factor of road crash, as
sorry, Mr. Kayode, can you quickly wrap up so that
okay. Yes, thank you. In conclusion, I want to say that the figures are still high in Nigeria, but with the road safety strategy, which is in line with the second decade of action, we believe that the indicators are showing that we are going to achieve a downward trend this year, definitely with the figures that we're having. And I believe that we'll continue to work with the stakeholders in Nigeria and also learn from others from outside. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Robert, I think in the interest of time,
yes,
and that your interpreters are leaving, I would suggest we close the session here and you conduct the closing session.
Thank you. Thank you. And my apologies to Edward that you couldn't finish the presentation on the vehicle inspection, but we will share that and all the other presentation. I want to thank everyone who participated in this event, from our high-level speakers, the heads of ECA and the African Union Commission, the ministers who took part in this meeting. The purpose is to celebrate the 7th UN Road Safety Week that starts today. And we believe that this should not be the end of it. We encourage member states, the governments, the civil society, the private sector to undertake activities to raise awareness on road safety on our continent. The theme of this year's celebration is sustainable transport. So it's beyond road safety, but it also includes good health and also a healthy environment. I think that we've done justice to the theme. We've covered the issues related to the shift from shift to walking, cycling, public transport. We've also provided an overview of the road safety management situation of our continent. We all agree that road safety management is a foundation to saving lives on our roads. We all agree that we will not reduce deaths by half by 2030 if we don't do something drastic about road safety management. Hopefully we have shown that it's possible to enforce road safety measures. We've seen what is happening in Rwanda and also in Nigeria. I think we have been very ambitious. We had so many speakers to speak within 3 hours. So I apologize to all the participants who were not able to ask their questions. I promise that we will have other opportunities to dialogue on road safety. I just want to thank my colleagues as well who helped to prepare this meeting, both from a substantive point of view, but also from logistics perspective. We want to thank also the interpreters. I think that we overstayed our welcome by almost 1 hour. We thank you for being patient with us. Hopefully when we call you next time, you will come again. With that, I want to thank all the participants again and urge you to go out there and celebrate the UN Road Safety Week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merci. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.